I will call this, June 20th, 2021, getting ahead of ourselves. School board work session to order. All right, Dr. Argett.
Good morning. It's good to see everybody. A couple of weeks ago, sent you an email regarding conversation request to add something to the student activities handbook for the school division. The request was to add sixth grade and allow the sixth grade students to participate, or the opportunity to participate as well as the seventh graders, and create a more of a middle school potential. So that was shared with you so we could have the conversation and see, and I think we have some individuals here today to share information or if you have questions and that sort of stuff as well.
Oh, sorry guys, I was turning it on.
Here's your phone. I'm sorry.
I was hitting the silent button. Sorry. This might be good if I don't.
Did you want to present something or?
So the only thing I'll say is, I know the board, you all saw my immediate response via email that I'm in full support of this. It's an optional opportunity, and it gives the schools, the individual schools, the empowerment to make the decision that suits their student body the best. It also aligns with what we know to be the traditional middle school athletic age range, which is 6th, 7th, and 8th. So despite the fact that we don't have a physical middle school building, allowing our 6th grade students the option to be included in middle school sports actually benefits not just those 6th graders who then have an opportunity to be in a more structured sort of athletic environment, but it also helps our 8th grade students. So I'm not sure about the 8th graders' experience at Narrows from an athletic perspective, but at Giles specifically, in multiple sports programs, we have had an issue where 8th graders are too old to play anything recreational. They may not have the means or desire to play a travel sport, and so they're forced to try out for a JV sport, which in several cases at Giles has ended up with either 8th graders being cut and then maybe never coming back to athletics, or being added to a team and not having opportunity to play or having to play up. And so the thing I love about this request from the community is it's a minor word change in a handbook. That's really our role here, and allowing the schools to make the decision that works best for them. So again, what might work for one school might not be what the other school needs. But a lot of members from the community obviously have shown up here, I think, in support of this particular request. I've received emails and data points from coaches and parents from 2 other school districts, Radford and Auburn, both from parents and coaches, on how they operate their programs with the 6th grade inclusion. And yeah, so I'm not trying, I know we've had concerns in individual conversations, so I thought we might want to open that up to a conversation. And I have some more data points that we can pull out based on the questions.
Who in our area, and I'll tell you, my biggest concern, I don't think we have a problem with basketball and any of the things we have filling our teams with 7th and 8th graders. And I think most of the school divisions around here, that's all they do is 7th and 8th graders. They may have 6th graders on the track team or what have you, because especially in boys sports, I mean, Jack could have run track as a 6th grader, but he's not going to compete. I mean, let's get real on that. Maybe, most of these kids aren't. What my concern is, particularly from a football standpoint, who is letting 6th graders play football?
Radford and Auburn both.
Radford doesn't.
Yes, they do. I literally just had a conversation with one of their coaches.
You can look, Dalton Intermediate has 7th and 8th graders. I looked at that. The only ones I could find were Bland, Auburn, and Eastmont.
Sure.
And I will tell you, from a football standpoint, those are 2 of those programs folded 2 years ago. They couldn't complete the season because of numbers. And I hope we're not following that model, because what I saw was with County, Grayson County, Galax, the rest of the MBD schools are playing a 7th and 8th grade, and they have a 5th and 6th grade little league. Because I will tell you, if Kelly Lowe came to me right now and told me, Jason, we're gonna start a middle school program, and we're gonna have to pull our 7th graders up. And I think, let's get honest, that's what happened. Danny told me that, and if I'm wrong, Danny told me that Steve came, and Shelley came to him and said, I'm gonna put your 7th graders up. Now, what are we doing with the 6th graders? The 6th graders are an afterthought in this, and that bothers me. But if Kelly Lowe came to me and said the same thing, I would tell Kelly Lowe, my kid's not playing middle school ball. My kid's gonna go to Pearisburg if they had it, or Peterstown, or Radford, because I'm not gonna put my 6th grader in a situation where they're gonna get killed.
So I can appreciate that concern as somebody whose parents had a high schooler who's made it all the way through and had to play up because of numbers and got concussed because he was a 9th grader playing with seniors, 18-year-old young men. I think what's great about this is that it gives you an option, right? I have a kid who's not very fast, so I'm going to choose not to put him on the track team. And if you have a kid that's not big or strong, maybe you don't sign him up for that particular sport. You find something else that might interest him. I think what is important to me here as a board is that we don't remove options and opportunity, that we don't intentionally place blockers in front of our students, but that if we don't have a valid argument to say you can't try.
What I've got a concern with is if we don't have an option for the 6th graders other than this middle school program, we get taken on that. If parents, rightly or wrongly, feel like their kid's capable of playing, and they make that decision, they come out. That's first the parent's decision. But once we put them on that practice field or on that game field, they're our responsibility. That's our coach's responsibility. If they get hurt, it's ours.
Yes.
We own it. And that's the other question. I mean, I've heard what is the mechanics? Are they going to have minimum plays? I mean, what is that going to be for the 6th graders?
My understanding, and I'm happy to defer to, there are some experts in the audience here who are deeply involved in the football planning. If we want, because I feel like we're indexing really heavy just on football, but I want to be really clear that adding the language that this is optional then opens up the opportunity for all sports. We desperately need this in some other sports.
Nicole, I understand everybody saying that. We've tried to get, I've pushed for baseball, I've pushed for soccer, and got fights from that administration on it. And it boils down to the fact that basketball, we're cutting all but 2 or 3 7th graders, cut some 8th graders. Same with girls volleyball. Soccer may benefit from this numbers wise and track, and I'm fine with that. If kids can do it, I'm fine with them competing. I'm worried about the safety issue for these 6th graders.
Well, nobody has worried about the safety issue for the freshmen playing up or the 8th graders who are playing up. There's a larger biological physical difference. That's what I've literally raised a senior. I've got an 18-year-old boy.
My concern, and I spoke with a couple of you, my concern is a safety issue. As a mom, of course, I'm speaking of different, I don't know all of that. I have reached out to a few, people. I'm not letting my 6th grade play. That's just flat out, I'm not doing it. I mean, it just scares me. But one of my biggest concerns about this whole thing is that I've talked with coach. Why have we not asked both of our football coaches? And I've spoke with people about that. Why are we not asking our coaches their opinion on this when they are the ones who see these kids and see what's coming and the developmental issues of that? That's my problem. And if it comes down to something, I will never support that we have to make this.
Oh, that's great. This is not a have. That's why I'm so concerned with the pushback, because all this is allowing folks the opportunity to make the choice that's best for their school and best for their own students.
Because numbers are going to change.
Absolutely. We know the direction they're going.
My husband coaches middle school basketball. he struggled with trying to get the 15 on his team in the game. He said, I can't do it.
Yeah, and
And he said, I don't want
about
sixth graders.
Is
Volleyball, the same reason.
And that's perfectly fine. Maybe it's not the right thing for a particular school in this district, but because something doesn't work for one school. Because I remember last fall, there was a conversation right up here that said, if they want their middle school, let them go do what they want to do. This is that.
Are you going to get rid of your Little League program?
So not we, I have had no part in this because I don't know anything about football. But I do have an athlete who's going into 5th grade, and he'll be great in middle school sports as a 6th grader. I can't wait.
I had one too, but I wouldn't let no.
Well, that's right. We get the choices.
No, I wouldn't have. For maturity wise, there's a big difference in maturity, because you will see it as yours get to be seniors, the difference of how they interact with their peers, because they have moved up and they have done it. It's difficult. I'm telling you, it is a difficult thing. Because then they have no friends, because they've been the only one who has moved up and done, it is, I mean, it's.
Which challenges them to overcome adversity.
She done fine, but I mean, it's just not a black and white thing, Corey. It's different, that we have to look at everything. And I'm just talking about, as a mom of a football, as a nephew who plays football, who is very tiny, very, very immature. And you're saying that as in a football, you don't want them, yours got concussed and done all this, so you want 6th graders to do that? You know,
No, now Melissa, I love you.
But I'm just saying though, but that's what you're saying.
Way down
But no, Nicole, that's what you're telling me, that it's 9th grade, but what about a little 6th grader?
If my 6th grader is too small to play football, I'm not gonna sign him up.
Okay, but what
What's
about those who won't have an option then?
I mean, they're going to have to.
You do realize that on a 6th and 7th grade recreational football team, you've got that age group, 6th and 7th. They're already playing with children who are of age of 8th grade all the time. We've got a million examples of kids that are already that age. This is about playing up, not playing down, right? This is about, I've got a giant kid and I've got a runt child. And I know what it's like and I choose what's best for them. But all I'm saying is, this feels like a very intentional block because it doesn't work for for an individual situation.
I honestly, I'm 100% fine. Like I said, I'm glad it's
What's fun for it? Let's get it over with.
Please keep order in this room. We're in a work session. This is not, there's time for public comment here. But we're actually not voting today. We don't have it at a voting session, so you can understand that. What I've got a concern about, and this has nothing to do with theirs. And honestly, if I didn't have concerns for the kid, it doesn't, Brittany. It doesn't. If people thought I hated Giles as much as I did, I'd let you do it, because I think it's going to kill your football program. I think it's going to hurt 6th grade participation, because everybody's going to go for it. But I hear we're going to move some of our better 8th graders up. We're going to have minimum plays. We're going to put these kids on special teams. Well, who's going to make sure that George Wythe and their middle school team's doing that? Are we going to talk with the coaches? Are we going to get that? I mean, there's a lot of things there where we're thinking it's going to be great that we can control. But once you put that kid out there, it's just like I've got kids on my varsity football team that I can't put in the offensive line. They can only play defense at the end of the game because they can't block anybody. I can't put that kid in the offensive line because he's going to get somebody hurt because he's not going to be able to block the kid in front of him. And those are the things that I think, I'm not seeing, the only schools that I see that are doing this are schools that have killed their football programs. But, I'm to the point that, if this comes down to a vote in the next session, I've stated my concerns. I'm going to abstain from it. I'm not going to vote for it because I can't in good conscience send any of y'all's kids as 6th graders up against 8th graders. But, just to pull the Nair's Giles thing out of it, but I'm 100% against it.
But all they're asking is the opportunity to play. And like I said, if they're 6th grade, if these people have 6th graders that are too small, they're not going to let them play. All they're asking for is an opportunity.
Where are the kids that are too small to play? You're not going to have a rep.
You're not going to have. We're still going to have a rep.
football.
Th-
But this is not just
This
about
is just
football.
about football. This came
It's
because,
not about football.
We desperately need it
I
for
don't have
baseball.
bullies, it's not about football.
this came up because they wanted to change it for football, okay? That's what,
Well, we need a starter point somewhere, and football just
It's in the
happens
fall.
to be
It's the
the
first
next
sport of
sport in
fall.
line. So we need a starter point somewhere.
like I said,
But like I said, all they're asking for is the opportunity, not, so they can decide whether their kid wants to play or not.
The
That's all they're
other,
asking.
the other thing I would add, just from a data point perspective, because I think that's really important for us to remove some emotion and go to facts, and that is the folks who are running the Little League football program, which is not through rec in Pearisburg, you guys know that, have called the parents of the sixth graders who signed up and asked them explicitly, if this program, there's some discussion, some interest in modifying this program to a true middle school, do you have concerns, or will your child still play? And they had 100% of the folks that they talked to, which was the vast majority, said, yeah, absolutely.
well, like I said, let's do that survey after the season with it. That's my concern, because I don't think, I've been involved with this game a long time. That's what concerns me about it more than anything is these sixth graders. But like I said, I'm gonna to take it. I'm gonna abstain from the vote, but because I cannot in good conscience say yes, go ahead and do
Well,
that.
then I think we need to have the exact same concern about the school programs to move freshmen up, because that's a 4-year difference, not a 3.
VHSL doesn't have a problem with that. That's seniors.
The VHSL doesn't have anything to do with middle school. What we're saying is let's
VHSL
let the
does, because
school
what
have the opportunity.
VHSL does, because that's where you run into the problem. Ninth graders can't play with seventh graders. That's why. So what happened years ago? We started 8th and 9th grade football teams, or we had 8th grade teams. And how this came in the handbook 30 years ago, 7th graders we had the 135-pound weight limit in Giles County. So 7th graders were too big to play, so we wanted to move them up to the 8th grade team. So that's what they did. They moved them up. But then late 90s, most of the programs in single A went from 8th grade programs to which 7th graders could play on to 8th and 9th grade, which violated VHSL rules because your 7th graders couldn't play then. And that's where you run into the trouble.
But I'm like Nicole, you fussed about 6th graders playing with 7th, 8th graders. I'll give you an example of my own son. Freshman, played varsity ball, weighed 130 pounds against kids that weighed 300 pounds. That was my decision to let him play. I didn't have to let him play, but I let him play.
That's your decision, but that's also the school
That's all
system's
they're
decision
asking
before we do
for.
it.
That's all they're asking for is if they have
To be
a
able to
6th
make their own
grader that's
decision.
120 pounds and he wants to play, they want him to play against 7th and 8th graders, then let them make that decision. If they have a 6th grader that weighs 60 pounds, if they're gonna let that kid play with 7th, 8th graders, they're crazy, in my opinion. But let them make that decision.
It's not our job to block this. It's our job to allow individual opportunities and decision-making. And by intentionally putting a block here, I think we are sending a very strong message about where we think our power lies and what our priorities are.
I don't think it's anything about power. It's my concern is about the safety of these kids that are coming out there and playing. And I do want to make sure that there are some issues because, and again, if we're going to do this, are we getting the little league equipment? Somebody answer that.
What was the question?
Okay, we're getting the little league equipment. Has it all been certified up to what would require for our insurance policies to do?
Oh yeah, we got brand new stuff still in the box.
Well, I'm not saying brand new stuff's still in the box, I'm saying all that's gonna be used.
It's all been
Okay,
done correctly.
all right. Do we have coaches? I mean, who's gonna coach? I mean, there are practical issues that.
We can't address who's gonna be a coach because we haven't had approval to make the program yet.
Put the cart before the horse.
But you can see, we've got just a smattering of support that showed up at a meeting where they knew they couldn't make public comment to show that it might not work for everybody, but who are we to block it for those who it does work for? If you guys say we can't have 6th graders play middle school baseball, and when my child comes up to play middle school baseball and he's in 6th grade and doesn't have that option, I'm gonna be mad that we chose to put a blocker in place.
Well, and that's where I don't have a problem. You can go look, and when I was looking at this, with county, you know, who again is kind of what.
If I looked at what every other school
listen to me for a second. If with county is who I would model, if I were looking for somebody to model after in their athletic programs, the success they had, I would be looking that over there. And they're similar size school, all three of them, to what Giles has. And they're 7th and 8th grade football, 6th, 7th, and 8th volleyball, 6th, 7th, and 8th cross country, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Yes.
No, 6th, 7th, and 8th basketball, 7th and 8th. Softball, baseball and softball, 7th and 8th. Track, 6th, 7th, and 8th. I mean, I'm fine with it. My only real concern about it is football.
But you do know that there's verbiage with which it just takes some organization. You have a pretty good age cutoff where if kids have been held back, right, that they're still able to play with their grade level. So there's rec moving forward. If you have really tiny 6th graders, that they may still be able to play down to 4th and 5th. Like there's lots of moving parts that if rec can work with the high school, it's not a thing that, oh, if you don't play, then that's it. You know, there's lots of moving parts that can happen.
I'm talking about the average size kid that can't. I mean, you know.
Does everybody play everything? At some point, you have to.
And that's why like I said, I've been pushing for middle school sports all through this. But, you know, I don't think that 6th graders in football is the answer. Anything else?
Well, I think it's our job to allow parents and coaches to make the decision that's best for them. If it's not best for us as individuals, I've got my little baseball player is not going to be big enough to play up with big boys in football. He's tiny. He's not going to. But I get to make that choice. He might be excellent at another sport, and I want to be able to have that choice as a parent. And I think that's what the community is saying to us, is that there's no reason for us to be the blocker. Let them make those choices that are best for their students, for their program, at their school. And it's not our job to be like, okay, we're gonna intentionally say you can't do this. I wasn't even clear that this was something that was in an activities handbook versus like the district-wide handbook. Like, is this not something that individual schools can just make the choice that's best for them?
It's in the activity handbook for the school board has approved for the school.
And the request was to just add optional inclusion of 6th graders. No requirement, no mandate. Literally, we're saying we're going to take away an option, which in fact is a two-way door decision. If this blows up in their face next year, boom, scratch it.
But here's my problem with that thinking, and I understand. It's easy for us to sit here and say, yeah, we'll do it. They can change their mind. But the problem is, you change your mind and try to start back up a Little League program. We got to figure out how to donate the equipment back to the Little League program with state procurement law and everything else, and I don't know what that is. Then you've got to get people back involved once your Little League program is dead. So once you kill that 6th and 7th grade program, it's not something that you can just snap your fingers if somebody came in and, you know, June we decide, just like here, June we decide we're going to.
Yeah, it's that easy to do. We're not squashing our Little League program.
No, we have numbers, across.
Over
You're gonna continue to have Little League football.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
6th and 7th grade, 6th grade.
No,
It's gonna be, my feeling is once
so
y'all
the
make
parent who
our,
don't want it gets to go still play Little League. So if I'm a parent and I say, I don't want mine to play middle school, but you can play Little League. So you don't have to.
we're waiting on you guys to make the decision on what we need to do.
Yes.
So if it's a yes from you guys, we gotta straighten up some pieces and get other stuff in line, but we're waiting on you guys. But yes, there will be a Little League program.
So
But you're asking us to make the decision. I'm going to know right now, if we make this decision, is the only option for 6th graders going to be a middle school player?
The
And for the
Intermediate
seventh
League with
graders either.
football
It's
has
the
a
same.
policy that if a child weighs under the weight limit, they have an opportunity. So
What
if you
is
have
that?
an,
What is the weight limit?
it depends on the age range,
The
but I'm
running
pretty
back weight
sure.
limits in the 6th and 7th grade are
What I'm
135.
saying is, what is the weight limit for a kid that's a 6th grader to play
If you're
down?
6th
I'm
grade and weigh
gonna
under
find it
110
for you,
pounds, you can play down.
I think
On the line.
we're getting into
Yes.
details that are irrelevant to our role. Our role here, and I want this to be publicized, I want everybody to hear me say, it. Our job as a board is to empower the community with opportunities, not to install blockers, but to allow individual schools. We've done this in the past. What works for one school might not work for another. What works for a grade school might not work for the high school, is to allow an individual school based on their enrollments and their needs and their population and their numbers to make individualized decisions, to give them the power to make those decisions. I don't have to agree with the decision, but it's not our job to block their opportunity to make those choices. And I feel really strongly
The concern is with the football at Giles High School is we're losing our sophomores.
Yeah.
We're not losing our sixth graders because they're not getting to play the sixth and seventh. We're losing our sophomores. Because on the 10th grade level, when they go to 9th grade in high school and they're not playing because we have an abundance of number, they're not coming back.
Well,
our number's gonna start chopping at the top.
Well,
not at the bottom.
and that's getting down to the nub of it too. And what would concern me if I were gone. I'm telling you, I'm stepping back out of this. But what would concern me is, I understand, this all stems from the 10th and 11th grade, these huge classes they've got. They want to have a true JV program. I understand that. And I would hope the solution could be worked out where you could have some 7th graders playing 8th graders, and you have a middle school team and still have enough to have, I told Danny that, a little league team. But what the problem's going to be is if you don't keep those numbers up, those 6th graders decide they're going to get killed and they don't come out, and you get back to what you had before, where we've had to pull up a 7th grade class because the 8th grade class isn't that big.
Me as a coach and as a parent.
But listen to what I'm saying is, what happens is that year when you got planning on having a 9th and 10th grade team and you don't have enough to have that, and you got a middle school team with all that sign up, you're going to have a 6th through 8th grade middle school, and you're going to have a 9th through the only option. You're not going to have an 8th and 9th grade JV. Your only option is for those freshmen to play, and that's what got Auburn in trouble. I mean, if you want to talk to what's happening at Auburn, and a lot of Auburn's good football players are going over, the 6th and 7th graders are going over to play at Radford, and then they end up staying over there. So
state championships in every other sport.
They do, but I'm talking about your football program, and that's what this is.
I don't think we can use Auburn as an example because they're using baseball and basketball as their two center pools.
Yes, absolutely.
Not football. They could care less like us about football.
Yes.
That's just different in each district, sir. I mean,
Shouldn't be like.
we just want to
Should care
option.
about all our schools.
You know, we just want to
It
option.
should be about everything.
We're losing our older kids to, we got more numbers up here.
Yes.
I mean, you guys are playing freshmen, starting freshmen at night.
We got,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Behind her.
Kudos to you. We can't. It's just, we have so many 10th graders that our freshmen are just right here.
We have to restructure.
Come on, something needs to be done.
And there's another big class coming up, the 7th grade class, there's 25.
And I agree with you too. You do have some good PowerPoints, but we do too. We just want an option.
Like I said, I'm on the same with this because I can't in good conscience. I'm not going to vote to put 6th graders playing football. I'm not going to do that, but I'm on the same from it. Pull it out because again, it's not in their job.
But by avoiding the vote, you're also eliminating the opportunity for the other sports. We need the words included in the handbook for us to be able to do this for our other sports as well. So just because you want to dig in on one particular sport.
The other sports, it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter at the end of the day. It's
Why
not.
have it in the language at all?
And I've got a problem with that too. You know, we got opportunities for our 6th graders to play rec and our 7th graders to play rec. The biggest problems are 8th graders.
Can I truly, from a volleyball standpoint, like, rec does not run a rotation, okay? Like, they just sub in and out. So, like, our kids get to 8th grade, they don't know what a libero is, they don't know how to pass and set, like, and you're talking to a volleyball expert here, like, it's putting, and so,
But
our coaches being.
how many 6th graders are going to make a team?
My kid would have.
Yep.
I'm talking, yes, you've got great athlete kids,
But
but I'm talking about the
They
kids.
have rec, they have
But
an
then they can play
option.
rec.
But
If they
what
don't
about the
play
8th
rec.
graders? So we're putting a 6th grader on, and we're cutting that 8th grader this last opportunity to develop before they get to high school. Yeah, you don't
High
care.
school sports are not, it's not a rec, it's not everybody gets to play. It's
It's the most
middle
important
school
thing for
sports
these
is a
kids.
transitional period between rec, which is for everyone, middle school you start to try out, and the kids that are good enough that earn those spots get those spots on the team, whether you're a 6th grader, a 7th grader, or an 8th grader. And if you are a sixth grader in those other sports, rec does have the opportunity for them. It's a restructuring of what we have and what we need based on the numbers of kids that we have in the Central and Eastern District. So I have a very strong problem. My child is the larger child. He's not the small child. And when you start talking about taking opportunities away because of the smaller child, you're taking opportunities away from the larger child too. And it's not okay. It's not okay to be able to pick and choose what you feel like it suits your interest. And it feels like that. It feels like it's an intentional block on the western end.
It's not,
Yes, it
again,
does.
that's why I'm stepping out of it, because I know that's what it's gonna be.
Well,
It's just, I cannot,
You hadn't said a word the whole time.
I'm listening.
Let's hear it. I mean, everybody else has spoken except you.
I support Ms. Price. I think we need to change.
thank you. We appreciate that, Jody.
If y'all don't wanna do it, y'all don't have to.
this is not about, again, it's not about Nares doing it or not doing it.
Okay.
I've got that concern about I can't in good conscience vote to put sixth graders play football.
Well, like I said, I think that's left up to the parents, whether their child is gonna play football, whether they wanna take that chance for their child playing football.
It's already a sport that is having diminishing numbers over time anyway, right? It's a rough sport, it's hard, it's definitely not for everybody.
And you're gonna diminish the sixth graders that wanna participate, because they'll come out and not play, and they're going, most of them are going to have a year of practice, it's gonna be a redshirt year for them.
And if we don't, in the Little League program that we're in New River Valley, if we don't have an option for a sixth grader, he could either come to Nares or go to Blacksburg.
Yes.
There's options for the sixth graders. They're not gonna be
They
left.
can go to the next closest.
The rule is you can go to Nares and play if we don't offer sixth grade football.
Yes.
There's options.
That is my concern, is if you do away with your Little League.
Well, and
Just because I'm telling you, like, as a parent, and I will not support something that's put in stone, that this is what has to happen. Because I just, as a parent, I'm not letting my sister.
And I agree.
It's
And
for football, I'm definitely not, and really,
what we
whether it's kind of.
may have to do, as in the Little League program, we may have to play at Peterstown, because they do 5, 6, 2, 3, 4 on their football.
Yeah.
We may have to spread out a little bit, but that's something we're willing to try.
I would hope you do that, because that, again, it sounded like to me, the decision was made, talking to Danny, was gonna be, we're not gonna have, everybody's gonna be up.
Just
And
because Danny's our representative, our president, he can't remember everything to tell everybody sometimes. That's why.
Have you met with your varsity football?
I'd love to address
Just curious.
Shelley has
You
been-
met with Kelly and
I got off the phone with Jeff before I came here, and I asked him, I wanted to know specifically what's the concern, and it was not a program concern, it was more a facilities concern.
You didn't want the
His
sixth graders
concern-
in there was the big one.
That's what he
changed his
told me.
mind. He told me it was a safety issue.
Well, when I got off the phone with him right before I walked in the door, he said it was more about being concerned, he didn't want sixth graders in locker rooms with seniors. That it wasn't that part of it, that's what he told me.
We all got, everything I've heard from you guys and this guys, it sounds like we can come to something.
Well, it's
You
guys gonna have the votes, we'll put it on and officially approve it, we go ahead and do it. I mean, like I said, it's.
We're not gonna let our kids in our rec department, I'm not the director or anything, but I'm still involved in this rec department, and our Little League program's not run by the rec department.
Yes.
We're individuals. Moose Lodge sponsors us, we raise our own money. We're making plans for the sixth graders, we're just waiting on our option.
And that's the key word.
We don't know what to
We're
do
just
yet
allowing
until
an
it's a yes
option.
or no.
If you want to try, I believe that we allow the community to try. And if individual parents, if it's not the right sport, fine, but I bet they'll be really happy when it comes around for middle school soccer or middle school volleyball or middle school baseball, that they've got somewhere for their athletes to be able to play up, to get in a more structured environment, to start the transition. Because think about it like this, at Giles High School, we bring in 2 elementary schools and then try to get them ready for JV sports together. This just allows us to engage students earlier in a more structured environment so they are more prepared to have long-term success in the program. These people are not showing up here because they want to remove opportunities or leave students behind. This is the opposite of that. This is the community saying, the community who's involved in this particular sport where the majority of the concerns are because of the danger of the sport, the community is saying, we believe this is the right thing for the longevity of the program for our athletes. And it's not just a single sport, it's all of them. And I just don't think it's our job to get in the way of the community trying
And
something.
we've even talked, like, this year, we've had 40 kids sign up, 7th graders.
6th and 7th?
Yeah,
6th and 7th grade, it's 38.
not counting the 8th graders that played on the 8, 9 team last year.
Yeah.
And a lot of those 6th and 7th graders' parents would probably say, I'd rather for my kid to play rec. And that's just part of it. A lot of times, some 7th graders that would play rec are not gonna play 8th grade football. We had a team one time, time they got to the high school, there was 3 kids left on that team from 6 and 7. 3 kids left on that football team from 6
4th
and
and
7.
5th grade has 45 kids, and our light league has 38, close to 40.
Yeah, just put it on the next week closeout meeting agenda. We'll vote on it, but go ahead and move forward. You got your consensus.
I also think that too, like, it should be evaluated as individual sports too. I think schools need to sit down, and if your basketball program is like, we
Yeah, you don't
can't,
get it.
we
Yeah.
cannot handle that,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, it's, like, as being a coach, it's tough because you do want kids to participate, but it is hard to get them in the game.
100%.
It is so hard. I see it in volleyball and I see it in basketball particularly. And parents get upset,
Yeah.
kids get upset.
Yeah.
But you know, just because you're saying you want it for football, it doesn't have to be.
For everything.
You don't have to do it. It's supposed to be, like,
Yes.
just like we have had, they're different,
Yeah.
they're different sports, have different categories.
And I 100% agree with you on that. I think that's what the beauty of this basic request is, allowing the school to make the decision that's best for them and their individual programs. So it doesn't have to be a blanket, we do this. Leave that up to the athletic director, the coaches, the principals, whomever is involved in the individual sports to say, you know what, we really do need this in baseball because our program, you know, we got 40 kids coming out for JV and we cannot field them. Or for football, we really need it. And so for the schools, the individual schools, maybe you guys really need it in baseball or something, you know, I say you guys, I mean Neighbors High School specifically, or for cheerleading or something like that. Like there may be athletic opportunities that have varying needs, and all this does is allow the school the opportunity to make the individualized decision that they need to make.
I certainly hope that's the result of this.
I do too, and I'm going into this assuming best intentions and knowing that all these people took time out of their morning to come in because they really believe it's the right thing and not about leaving other kids out, but about bringing more kids in. So
You need
I have to
really
assume the
make
best
sure
intention.
that you offer 6th and 7th grade football for those kids who don't want their kids to play. It is an important thing.
So when do you guys wanna make the?
We have not unofficially made a decision. We have consensus on this board.
We don't vote.
If we took a vote today, it would be a 3-1 vote based on what I'm hearing here. Well, I'm not voting, I'm abstaining, so, yeah. And so, that's why I said to Dr. Arbogast, proceed like we've approved it, and we're gonna go ahead and approve it. We have not advertised this as a voting session, so we can't vote.
And I think, I wanna leave this part of the discussion with like one more comment, which is, this has come out of a result of looking backwards and seeing what we've needed in the past and where the gaps are. And so trying to make a new plan moving forward. That retrospective or look back will happen, that happens every year, right? After a season, you look back and say, you know what? We need to do this better, we need to change this. And so this is like progress, right? We've looked back, we've said we need to change something. And the folks who are involved in it, I'm not involved in football, have said this is what we need to change moving forward for more success. And it may be that in a year or 2 or 3, as our numbers change, as kids change, as sport interests change, we may look back in a couple of years and be like, hey, we need to redo this again and try something different. But allowing that progress to happen and allowing the opportunity to happen is best for the greater community And what's important to me is that if in 3 years we look back and say, oh, we need to change it again, it's not, well, I told you it wouldn't work. It's we have to learn and try to progress these programs and give the maximum number of opportunities that we possibly can. And trust that the people that go into those leadership positions, the coaches, the administrators, have the kids' safety, best interests, engagement, happiness, mental health, all those things are top of mind. And, I trust that the people who are here advocating for it, they're here because they believe this is the right thing.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
You can stay if you want to hear more exciting
I was gonna say, you're not addressing AP classes today, are you?
No.
That'll be next week.
That's next week.
That's all right, I'll be here for public comment on that.
I do wish more people would stay from Virginia.
Thank
Leadership
y'all.
Plan and talk about football.
I know.
Honestly.
Reading matters
I mean,
so
seriously.
much. Right.
We'll correct that and have it for debate next week.
So we'll get to look at it, because I wanna make sure the verbiage in it is, that it's not just mandatory, because that's
Right now,
what's gonna happen, because then you don't get parents.
the verbiage is in there now is not mandatory for some degree. It just says students are allowed. And it's the responsibility of the parents to direct request to the high school principal and to the elementary school principal. So it's gonna be the same thing with the sixth grade attitude.
Well,
Wait, where is this at on here? I'm sorry, I haven't read it.
Bottom section,
Okay.
under participation eligibility, A1, I think it's the second sentence.
Well, I will tell you this just before we get off of this. I hope whoever they got coaching's got some sense, because this scares me to death. This wasn't theirs, honestly, it's not theirs job saying it scares me to death. And I hope that Steve's reaching out to these other athletic directors, if we're gonna play them, that they, if what I heard about minimum number of plays and that kind of stuff, that's great, but Danny was talking about playing sixth graders on special teams, because Little League doesn't have special teams, you got more plays now to do that. That scares me, because you're running sixth graders down the field full speed to eighth graders. Everybody's happy with this and supports it now. I wanna make sure that those kids are safe, because I don't know.
I mean, I feel that way about all of our sports. I mean, our varsity sports. I have far more concerns about freshmen playing with seniors than sixth graders playing with eighth graders, and I've got kids in both of those age groups. So I just have to, I appreciate.
Would you let your ninth grader play varsity baseball then?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, you said you was concerned, that's why I was just
Correct,
football.
but individual sports and individual students, right? If I've got a kid who would be able to handle I've got a little tiny guy and I've got a big guy.
And that's
It's
what-
individual decisions.
Well, that's why I'm saying what I'm saying about the coaching, because I will
Yes.
tell you, Jeff Williams and Kelly Lowe and our high school staffs, I know that safety is paramount with them. They're not
It should be.
they're not gonna put a
Absolutely.
kid out there
Should
that's
be.
going to get hurt. What I don't know is who's gonna be in that middle school role, and we need to make sure that person's got great judgment. It just can't be somebody that really wants to do it.
I agree with that
But
100%.
I do have a concern, like, I do not think you will see a sixth and seventh grade Little League football program in Giles this coming up year.
You mean in Harrisburg?
Yes.
No, I mean, well, because 100% of the people said that they'd rather their kid play middle school. So there won't be any kids to sign up.
But that's sad for those ones who do want something and don't want theirs playing. And these parents cannot drive their kids to Montgomery County. And probably the majority of them say, well, they're not gonna play at theirs. I mean, they can't. They can barely get their kids to practice now.
Then they probably wouldn't sign up.
Well, you would be surprised at how many come and just drop off their kids and then leave.
No, I wouldn't be. I've coached enough. I know.
It's
As
just,
Little League coaches, I would like people to do that.
And just leave.
but it just
Not
bothers me
yell at
that
you.
you're not, that, I really hope that they still offer the Little League for those ones who don't want their kids to do that. Because at that age, you're trying new things and you're seeing if you like something. You might have somebody that's coming out and they're playing, and well, I don't like this, and you come out and just have to do high school lab, I'm like, well, I don't wanna do this.
Well, I mean,
Well,
the thing was, I asked, you know, why, my sixth grader, he's average, I mean, he scored about 15 touchdowns last year, pretty good running back, decent sized kid for his age. I asked him, I said, would you wanna play eighth grade on the Jack's team? He said, no, I'll get killed, not from a brother thing.
Well, that's how my freshman was on varsity.
I would never let you. Never, I mean, yes.
But allowing the people who would the opportunity to do so, that's their individual decision. It's not our job to tell parents what they should and shouldn't do.
I did like
With their
saying that,
individual
but we've taken on this burden, we gotta make sure that we do it in a safe manner. Because it won't be, oh, Johnny's mommy wanted him to play, it'll be, you know, Johnny's coach put him out in the field against somebody and got hurt.
That's right.
I call it, as soon as I said
This is
that, I was
gonna be
like,
Johnny.
well, what about Johnny?
Johnny Pancakes, right, yeah. Love him.
Alright.
Making sure. We've talked to you about, the Virginia Literacy Act for some time now, over the last year, and longer. We have to submit, and Ms. Mustang, Ms. Wood, correct me if I say anything wrong, by July 1, 2024, our division literacy plan to DOE. The focus is gonna be K-5 in 24-25, and then moves to K-8 for 25-26. There's professional development that's gonna be included, that's VALS, which is Virginia Language and Literacy Screening System, K-3, that's a K-3 statewide screener, but that's not available till the fall. So you may hear some comments and that sort of stuff about PD not coming till the fall. But that's just, unfortunately, the way things are coming out to us for this. We've been attending the committee, a group of us, Ms. Mustang, Ms. Wood, Ms. Morris, Ms. Tibbs, Mr. Gautier, myself, and Ms. Bogus. I knew which one, I just couldn't remember who, quarterly meetings for the VLA to help develop this plan. I assume that you all have received it. If you have not received it, we will make sure that you have. It was asked to share it with you all so you all could review it, so you were aware of what we were submitting to DOE, because it talks about our core materials. HMH talks about really great reading, supplemental materials, and it talks about community engagement and that sort of stuff as well in this plan. And that's very quick now. What else you all would like to share on that topic?
Well, I just want to start by saying that, and of course, Sarah in her new role as our county reading coordinator, I want you to know how fortunate, and speaking for Dr. Arbogast as well, how fortunate we are to have Sarah Woods as our reading coordinator. And I'm not just.
We're excited about having her here.
Excited.
Excited about having her here. She worked hard.
Yes.
Create some
And I
information.
know that it's gonna help our students. I know the work that you're gonna put in and that you're gonna train these other people is gonna benefit all of our kids. And that is exciting because it is sad as a board member to see what's happened. You know, I mean, our kids have got to learn to read because we can't get them out of some of this environment that they're in right now. If we can't, at least if we teach them to read, then they'll be able to, they can change their paths.
And I'm gonna say one thing, because I keep in mind the future. Make sure that we're keeping track of our successes and our progress because of where you've been. And I told you this when you became assistant principal, because, you know, we're going to, I hope as a system that we're going to do this in math and other subject areas. And when we have to go and justify, you know, a position added to this building or to administration, I want to make sure that we can objectively show, okay, we did this in reading, we got this in, you know, yes, the Literacy Act, but Sarah came in, she did this, and we got these things going, we coordinated these things, because it's a lot easier the anecdotal evidence is great, but the objective evidence gives us, we can say that.
Well, I just, we are so fortunate in Giles County to have Sarah, and I can't wait for you guys. I mean, this is a year-long plan that well, actually, we've been working on it, what, 3 years now? 3 years under Sarah's guidance. And, so she's been doing dual roles, assistant principal and county reading coordinator and serving as reading specialist at Eastern. But the things that she has already done and the things that she has already developed for our county, I've told her that when she is selling her book, that she's basically got finished writing, and when she's doing her speaking, that I'm going to go with her and I'm going to sit out in the hall and sell her book for her, and maybe do a couple of jokes and introduce her, and then let her do her thing, because I'm very, very excited about what she's done for us as a county, and this plan. And I think that whenever anyone's questioning her worth, is just take her somewhere and let her talk about brain research and the reading plan, and then they'll understand, why we need her on board. But this plan, it's I think, very well thought out. It's very structured. We are, of course, Jason Mills introduced her. Sarah's a nerd. Like, she reads this brain research for fun at the beach. That's all true, what he said. And she's turned us into nerds as well. So we're very excited about this plan. And our job as the county, and your job as, the school board, is to, this is a positive thing, and it's gonna be hard, and it's gonna be like, I told Dr. Arbogast, it's gonna be COVID Canvas all over again, when they were coming and yelling at you guys for having to use Canvas during COVID. It's going to be like that at the beginning, until they learn how to do the things that they're required to do. And I hate to say this, but I guess because it is being recorded, but the VDOE has set us up to fail a little bit, because we are responsible for things that they haven't finished developing yet, and we're going to be responsible for reporting on them by the end of probably September or October at the latest. So we have to train our teachers. So we're doing all this. It's like we're flying the plane and building it, putting the wings on and everything as we go. So they are going, and we understand that. They're going to be upset. The divisions that have piloted this, their teachers were very upset at the beginning, and that at the end they could see the value of it. So that's what we have to. We're going to start this with the end goal in mind, and we know where we need to be and where we need to go. And I think we've got a good plan on how to get there. So I'll let Sarah talk now about the plan, or answer any questions that you may have about it, because like I said. Dr. Arbogast and all of us would sit there and we're like, have you developed your plan? And we look at Sarah and she's like, yeah, we've already finished section 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, and then we would all have input in on that. So,
can I ask the question before you jump into the plan details? When you said the folks that piloted it were mad, but then at the end they saw the benefit.
Yes.
Can you, and maybe we don't know this, but what were they upset about in the beginning? The change? Was the technology hard? Like what, so that we can maybe make a plan to avoid that stage of anger or unhappiness?
So our new literacy screener is called VALS, and training is not going to be provided by the state on VALS until September. The testing window opens in September.
Oh, okay.
So there's a learning curve that takes place in learning how to give the new assessment. Added to that is a more comprehensive assessment than what PALS was. PALS basically gave you 2 measures. VALS gives you about 10. So the time it takes to administer the test is significantly longer. We're hearing about 45 minutes to an hour per student.
Oh, wow.
And so that there's a frustration there in terms of am I losing this time that could be used for instruction? Is it meaningful? So by the end, I think they were getting data that was really good and was helping to inform their instruction. But at the beginning, you're asking yourself, in my classroom of 20, I just spent 20 hours testing. Is there a benefit to that?
Right. So we have to be, so what I feel my particular job is to be very supportive, to go in, to understand, give them time, give them subs, whatever we need to do to support this process, because they are, and the teacher has to give the test. It's not like we could hire someone or get Title I to do it, because the whole benefit is giving the test and seeing the process. And then the other thing that we have to do is, if you want to talk about the reading plans.
Yeah, so then, VALS will identify students as in a band of risk. And so you have students who are at high risk, students who are at low risk, students who are at minimal risk. And so based on these bands of risk, students who are at high risk will automatically need to have an individualized reading plan. That's developed by a committee. There's a form that we have to fill out to develop this plan. From other counties who are piloting the test, we've heard that at the beginning anyway, it's likely that at least half of a classroom might require a student reading plan. And so that again is a significant amount of time. There's probably going to be some frustration in how do I write a good objective? How do I measure that objective? Who's going to do what in terms of the parts of the plan? So I think grace is our buzzword for the coming year. Grace.
Grace, okay.
that we're gonna have to understand that we're all kind of learning at the same time, and that, you know, teachers might need to voice frustrations. And they are probably legitimate. But I think at the end results will be that our kids are better readers, and that's what we want.
Yes, absolutely.
And they probably will fuss about, and we don't blame them. Right. We don't blame them, because we have also had, because we've been frustrated with the process as well. So I think our job is to listen, to understand, and provide as much support as possible, and to work them through this progress.
Then they will love it.
I think so.
Well, they said, like now before they were wanting they were wanting to burn all the laptops, so they had to do Canvas. Now, if we want to take it away, they're like, so we get it. We just have to understand. No, and this is hard. And the other thing is going to be the reading plans will be difficult, that we have to walk them through. So, but
Future.
I will just point out our vision statement, because I think that if we keep that in the forefront of our mind, then I think it all becomes clear as to why we're doing what we're doing. So our vision in Giles County, we believe that teaching all of our students to read is one of our most fundamental responsibilities. We understand that the ability to read affects all other academic areas and is associated with social, emotional, economic, and physical health. It is our job to ensure all of our students learn to read and read to learn so they're empowered for success. I think if we know that and we preach that, and that's what's in our mind, that everything else that we're doing follows that. And at the end of the day, like I said, we have students who are succeeding and who are excelling, not just in reading, but in all other subject areas, because it touches everything.
So, and as stakeholders, we wanted to share that, vision plan with you in case there's something in there that you guys disagree with, or it's not too late to change it, or.
I love that. Great, I love it.
And so just going through the parts of the plan. So the first is that vision, and then in the table underneath are ways that we as different stakeholder groups can communicate that vision and share that vision to make sure that we're all following the same goal, that we all have that same purpose. And then the next section are our high quality instructional materials. Fortunately, we were already using high quality instructional materials, so we did not have to buy anything new or look at any other programs, because what we already have in place has been on the approved list by the state.
Good job.
Yes. We saw that list.
End of the game.
We saw that list and it was a big sigh of relief. Below that is our professional development plan. So we have different bands of professional development for different bands of teachers. For this year, as Dr. Orga said, it's K through 5, but next year we're adding 6 through 8. So we're gonna go ahead and get that ball rolling and start some professional development for 6 through 8 this year, so that next year they will feel more prepared and better equipped to do what they need to do. And then some training for our reading specialists and our reading interventionists, and how to help teachers with specifically reading plans and interventions and progress monitoring activities. The state is releasing modules through the Virginia Literacy Partnerships that we will use in conjunction with this. We have to use approved professional development, so those modules through the VLP are our approved PD. Those modules, kind of like everything else, are a little behind. They were supposed to be released at the beginning of this month. They have not yet been released. So we'll see how that goes. There will be training on our materials. So for our new teachers who are not familiar with Really Great Reading, they will get that training. SPIRE, which is our intervention, all of our interventionists, special ed teachers will have that training. And then we're gonna add in a kindergarten intervention Sound Sensible there as well. The next section is monitoring. How are we gonna monitor the assessment and our progress towards meeting our goals? You can read down through there about what, I'm sorry, those are our diagnostic tests. Sorry. This is our screener. So our VALS is our screener for K through 3. DIBELS we use as a screener through 4 through 8. The remainder of those tests are diagnostic tests. They help us to get a better picture of exactly where, in terms of reading, our issue is. I think underneath that is the progress monitoring.
Can I ask a question about this? So, how many reading specialists do we have, and do we need more? What is the plan around that? Where are we at?
Good news.
Okay, tell me. I love good news.
We have 1 reading specialist at Narrows Elementary, and we are fortunate to have 2 new reading interventionists at Eastern and at Macy.
Okay.
Who
will
are
become
in
reading
the
specialists.
program, reading specialist program, and hopefully, I think, finish up at the end of it.
June 20.
Can you just tell me the difference between that interventionist and the specialist? Like,
So our interventionists have not yet finished the reading specialist
that's just, they're on the way. That's what that means.
Yes.
Okay. I
We
didn't know
have
if
a
their role
partnership
was
with
different.
Radford University, and
Okay.
they were part of our cohort.
And so the goal is we'll have 1 specialist at each elementary
Reading
school.
specialty so much.
That's cool. You're right, good news.
Very fortunate on that.
Yeah.
Very fortunate.
And keep in mind, there is one in the budget as well for the secondary level for 8th grade,
Oh, wow.
as need be.
Do we have anybody in the pipeline?
We've got 2 or 3 more.
We haven't posted it because that's part of the conversation we need to
Well, I mean, look,
have with the budget.
I just wanna make sure we had the personnel in place.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the only
Yes,
thing, the
there's-
dealers had that
Yeah, there's
amount of
people in the
funding to
Yes.
support.
Yeah, there's people in the
In-house.
pipeline. Yeah, there's people in the pipeline. I'm sorry. I didn't hear the question.
Awesome.
So I think underneath that is our progress monitoring. So how we are going to assess the progress towards our goals. Things like data meetings, classroom walkthroughs, we're meeting as a division to analyze data, see where kids are in terms of how the testing is going, how the progress monitoring going, how the reading plans are going. And then a big component of the Literacy Act is involvement with parents and making sure parents are involved, are invited to participate in the process. And so that first section is an invitation to parents to participate in the creation of the student literacy plan or the individual student reading plans. However, if parents should choose not to participate, the plan still gets created. And then that plan is sent to parents along with tips, a packet, ways to help their student at home. And then it ends with some parent engagement kind of activities, ways to increase communication with parents, and then ways to involve community, get community involved in what's happening in the county.
Can I ask another question? Sorry. So I love this, and we know that not all parents will engage at the level that we would like them to, and some will, be right on top of this. So this work here, the communication and the community involvement, who owns that? Like, who's responsible versus who's like just informed about this? Like, is that on the specialist? Is that you? Is that the individual teachers? Who does this work?
I think at the end of the day, it's me, but I also think that the reading specialists and our interventionists are going to help in the creation of that.
Sarah's already, just for information, she's already developed, like webinars. And we, there are things out there that we can post on our division and each school website if they don't want to come in or to help or something like that. So we're trying to get as many avenues as possible, down to parents, open houses, things like that. But, there's already webinars in development for parents and teachers alike, so.
That's awesome. I was just thinking, like, if we're asking the individual classroom teachers to update a website, send home more packets, like, can we really add that load? So that's good. That's what I wanted to clarify. Yeah, awesome.
School busy.
Yeah.
But I love, like, seeing a document, a plan, right? Like a work backward from that.
Well, I think that, the vision was, like I said, this is basically the third year that we've talked about it, knowing, and, Sarah also, she said, she was on the BDOE committee. Dr. Argas, nominated her, she was excited, so she's been in at the BDOE, knowing all of the ins and outs and things like that, so, just basically had the plan before they told us we needed the plan. I mean, it was our vision, I guess it was our vision after COVID, this was kind of the vision anyway, and then now this has, it was like, oh, well, we've already, this was what we had in mind anyway.
You guys have the crystal ball.
Yeah,
That's
It's all
awesome.
the kids, I mean, I think it's all the need.
yeah. And the other thing, we're getting our scores back, that's very positive. I mean, we have a lot of work to do, but at our high school level, both high schools really knocked it out of the park with reading and writing. Both, right. So, I mean, that's, we want our littles to know, but the end goal is, right, to graduate, and their scores were really good. So we're happy about that. And you had conversations with 8th grade teachers who are they're also pretty excited about this. That they know it's coming there, so it's not something like, oh, what do you mean we have to have this? They already know that it's coming for the next year. And they were excited about it and very welcoming with the changes, so. That was also very, very positive, I think.
It's exciting, it's an exciting time to be involved in reading.
Yeah, it really is. But like in what Mr. Buckland said, we also know that math is a need, but we have to, and we think that the BDOE is probably coming with that, but this is what we have to get this now. It's due, we know it's needed, but math is coming. We know that there's also a need for that as well. I feel like there'll be a math.
I'm
sure. Math plan.
Yeah, just like
I mean, just like this.
It just took us a year to figure out what it did. I also didn't learn to read or math.
That's right.
Reading just slowed up a little faster.
Exactly.
God bless COVID.
Right.
So I'm taking it, you guys are good with our division plan and, okay.
Thank you for the work that you put into it.
That's beautiful.
And thank you for working 2 jobs right now. We appreciate that.
That's what we do.
Yeah, we do.
Moving along to the wellness, unless there's other questions. Wellness policy, you were given a copy of the, what changes at the last, I think, work session or board meeting. Were there any comments or anything that you saw that needed to be adjusted or anything in there?
Put it on the agenda.
Federal grants, that was the next thing on the agenda. You have a copy of the proposed Title I grant. You will receive the Title II and Title IV probably Monday, I would think. Those will need to be approved so they can be submitted by June 30th, June 27th to DOE. So if you have any questions, we can try to answer them now on the Title I grant. If not, we can try to answer them next week. Title I grant, and you have funding 2 positions at each school, as well as some few other things, a couple equipment programs, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I will say that, the Title I grant, Sarah and I worked together on that to make sure that, I like for everything to make sense and you don't have separate plans saying different things. So what our division reading plan, our objectives match what's in our Title I plan. So we're using our Title I money to support, our vision. And, so we have objectives in here, and the money, there's $590,000, a large majority of it goes to funding the 6 positions at the school. And then we do have money for supplies and things like that. Now, we're hoping that this may come back because we're hoping that really great reading will get funded, because with Title I, you can supplement, but you can't supplant. And so what they're thinking is that because the VDOE has said, hey, we're gonna have the vision plan, and hey, you have to use this material, that as Title I, when you get this almost $600,000, you can't buy anything that's been approved, because that's supplanting. So we're waiting to see, we use really great reading as a supplement, and so we're hoping that the VDOE will say, yes, you're going to purchase things that's been approved by us, and that we've approved your plan. The last I heard, they're like, no, you can't use anything that's been approved. So we're hoping that someone will maybe think about that and approve our plan. But we may have to take the one thing, but anything that we purchase, that we want to purchase, has been approved by the Department of Education as being approved to teach reading. I hope that makes sense what I was trying to do.
We'll get the other 2 title grants to you as well, so that you have those and are able to see them.
Sarah and I were worried because we knew it wasn't as exciting as football, but we're really excited about reading.
So I think so in reviewing the Title I, the document that's included in the board docs, like looking at the measurable objectives that you guys have outlined, like they're pretty big goals, right? We're talking about 100% numbers or
Yes.
80% numbers. So like one of them, when 3rd grade students will achieve a 75% pass rate, like where are we at now with that? Like how big are our goals compared to where we are?
The reason I put 75% is because that's what our goal is supposed to be. Like
Okay.
that is proficiency.
Okay, gotcha.
75%. So we should always strive for proficiency.
Sure.
We're not there.
Okay.
That would be, if we achieve that objective, we will have made a tremendous gain. I will say that.
Okay.
The final numbers aren't in yet, but we struggled in 3rd grade across the board this year. And we usually do, but it was pretty more significant this year for some reason. That was not the positive in our scores, but there's a lot of different reasons for why that happened.
Well, today's 3rd graders came in during that second year of COVID.
Yeah, we were expecting this because, there's some positives in there. I mean, we had some kids that scored, above proficiency and things like that. But I did want to put that our goal is to strive below what we should have, which is 75%.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, that is a lofty goal, but I hope we reach.
No, shoot for the moon, right?
Yeah, right.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
But reading 75 and math is 70, right? So yeah.
I haven't seen you this excited since we talked about motors.
You're actually talking about something that I know a little bit about, so I'm really excited to miss
Talk
about
motors
this
conversation. Can we get that one again?
No, because before long, I'm sure we'll need more.
Yes, his mowers are getting
The way that
down.
grass looks, it's so green and pretty, and I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
the fields were like.
It's those great mowers.
Graduation, the fields look magnificent.
Yeah.
Tell me what
Velvet.
hurts feels like.
Okay, I will. I'll
Magnificent.
I
It's
will.
like velvet.
Yeah. I think the problem with me with football fields and mowers is that I have to listen to it at home, and then I have to listen to it at board meeting, because nothing is more exciting than having a great mower mow a football field.
Well, I've noticed the football lights going up.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
Oh, my
noticed
kids have been fascinated when we drive by the school and they see the big crane that they're
Yes.
doing something.
Yes.
And they're like, oh my gosh, look at that.
Cross field out. Yeah, a lot of progress.
Next item we want to make sure that you're aware of is our division, what's called the Division Support and Improvement Plan. We have to submit that by June 30th as well to DOE. It's broken down into what they're calling 4 domains. Again, I don't know if we asked a copy be sent to you. I don't know if you've received it yet. If not, we'll get it to you before we leave today. It's broken down into 4 domains: academics domain, staffing, professional learning, and school climate. Under each domain, as we go through it, there's a description of each domain will be there for you, and they've got a diagram of how the domains kind of interwork. Under each domain, you will see information, focus area, a goal, and some progress strategies to meet the goal, and what the objectives are for the goal, and then kind of quarterly progress measures as we move through the year under each. I don't know how in depth you want to go, those things. Or what questions you all may have. First, again, the first domain, again, is academic supports. Talks about, again, tying it to our Literacy Act. We want to improve the literacy outcomes. You see the measurable objectives, you see the strategies, and then you kind of see underneath there what's going to, some things to do during each quarter to try to meet those objectives and goals.
So again, basically, the CSIP, each school, like, Dr. Arbogast requires each school to submit their plan. And that's what, I have here in this book. So each school has their plan, and then we have a division plan. And this plan is based on what we're gonna do for the next school year. So this is sort of like a working document. And so when we complete things, then we will add it to our master plan, and the schools will add it. So basically, Sarah and I took the reading plan, our reading plan, our Title I plan, and now we've built a county comprehensive, division support plan. And so we send this in there. And so these are some of the steps that are in here that we are going to do to support all the plans that we've just talked about, is basically what that is. But they require you to do those 4, and so then there's a little drop-down box, and you get to pick some things. And the main thing that, when Sarah and I were talking, is that the professional development for the teachers and getting their highly qualified materials in their classrooms, which is what we were talking about, is that the state has approved for them to use and vouch. So these things that are approved in the highly qualified instructional materials that will be put in the classrooms, that our division is going to be, that's going to be our main focus, is getting those in their hands. Also, a big piece of it is going to be, our administrators, they need to be trained on what does a highly qualified instructional material, what does it look like when they're using it in their classroom? So they have to be trained as well. I'll have to be trained. All of us have to be trained. And the neat thing that, we presented to Dr. Arbogast, and he has agreed to do, and I think this is going to be one of the most beneficial things, is that we haven't decided if we're going to call them data talks or data chats or whatever. I call them data talks, but Dr. Arbogast, and we are going to break off it every 9 weeks. We're going to go and sit down with reading and math teachers, and we are going to ask them to bring their data to us, and we're going to say, how is your class doing? Show us your benchmark. Show us how your progress monitoring. Because what we found, and Melanie Atkins will tell you this, these teachers that made great progress in their classrooms, they decided, okay, I'm going to use Mastery Connect that we've given. We're going to use the CSIP. We're going to use our curriculum frameworks. We're going to use our pacing guides. We're just going to give it a chance. We're going to use everything that the county has told us to do, and we're going to see if this works. And they were 87% proficiency in their classrooms. And so we're using those teachers who just attended on the summer. They went to Abington on the 17th, and they were trained on these high-quality instructional materials. They're going to come back and spread the word. But, you know, we're finding that if you're using these things that we're putting in place, Eureka, that they're having improvement in their classroom. So, but if it's not, you know, if you're not tested on it, or if nobody's checking, it doesn't get done, right? So we're gonna go and say, bring us your things, and not as a gotcha, just so we all can sit down and learn together. You know, Dr. Arbogast and I both, you know, we'll need, you know, like Mastery Connect, you know, like show us what your class is doing, show us how you're benchmarking these students, show us how you're progress monitoring these students. Let's do this together. At the end, let's see what we get, but we're gonna go and sit down every 9 weeks and bring them all in, provide substitutes, talk about data, and then, you know, I think we will see a lot of success at the end of the year for doing this. But we're calling them data talks or data chats, whatever, and having these conversations with teachers. And I think that it'll help them, it'll help me, it'll help all of us, it'll help principals.
It helps us better understand what supports are needed, so when we
Yes.
see and we can understand more what do you need and what support can we give.
Yeah.
So,
And that's gonna be, you know, that's gonna be a little intimidating, you know, Dr. Arbogast coming and sitting down and, you know, like, you know, I mean, we know that he's a nice man and not scary. But, you know, when you're sitting down with the superintendent and you're talking about what you're doing in your classroom, we have to give them a support and be there and talk them through it. And I think the more you practice, the more you do it, and the more you practice, then you're gonna become a data expert. And that's what we want our teachers to be, is experts using this data and showing that if you'll use these supports that we have in place, that your kids will be successful. So that's a lot of this plan.
Well, I love that you're thinking about doing that on a 9-week cadence instead of waiting until
Yeah.
the end of the year to do a retrospective, because then you can at least
Yeah.
pivot if something needs to change during the middle, or
Right.
you know, they learn something new in that first 9 weeks meeting that then they can implement for the next 9 weeks. And so I think that that's super beneficial, yes, for the educators to understand this process and the data impacts, but that's gonna directly impact the student success.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you know, if you're a brand new teacher and you're like, well, tell us what you need. Well, believe it or not, I can remember way back being a brand new teacher, if I didn't know what I needed.
You don't know what you don't
You know,
know.
you don't know what to ask
So
for.
then you know at 9
Yeah, yeah, so if we're talking to you, yeah,
Yes.
so if you're talking to them, you're going to help them, this is what you should be asking for, this is what we need to help you do. And I just, you know, it's gonna be a lot of work, but I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's really gonna be beneficial to the teachers, to the students, and like I said, I know that I will learn as much as anybody about stuff, so. So that's basically a lot of the plans, helping the administrators with the walkthroughs, getting out in those classrooms, making sure that they're using it, making sure you know what to look for, in the classrooms and things like that, so.
We'll make sure you get a copy of this. I don't know if you received it. We had it Tuesday when they sent, I'll make sure that you get it if you've not received it.
Oh, another thing in there, Dr. Arbogast, I see is that our provisionally licensed, we've got a goal in there to reduce the number of provisionally licensed teachers that we have. Right now, we've got 5.68% of our teachers are provisionally licensed, and so with the support that you guys give everybody with the like tuition reimbursement, we're trying to, you know, get these people to where they're, you know, I think what we said, reduce it by 1%. Next year, reduce the provisionally licensed teachers by 1%, getting them fully licensed and helping them work through that process.
I appreciate the percentage of 5.68, but how many humans is that? Do we know?
we have the number in there.
I'm just curious, because I can't do math that quickly.
10 to 15.
Okay.
I thought it was 17 to 20, but.
17.
17.
17.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Is that normal? Is that, I mean, I'm new enough that I can
We
say
have
I'm
more
more
now, I would think, right, Dr.
I
Arbogast?
think it's kind of.
Yeah.
Just over the years.
For years, you know, before, you know, we've been able to recruit and attract a lot of folks that are licensed and ready to go, and now, you know, you're getting people that are applying for the jobs. And they're doing a great job, it's just
they're just not there yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Nicole, just for your information, we have something called an IPAL report, it's instructional personnel, something, anyway, it's IPAL. And it tells us, like, it gives you a report according to licensure, and your division should never go below 95% of your people being
Fully licensed.
certified,
Yeah.
fully licensed, or having a provisional. So we
Oh,
do
super
run
close
above
there,
the
yeah.
95%. I mean, we are above that. But anytime, sometimes we have to take a hit on certain things, but as long as we stay at the 95% level, then we're okay. But we get an hour report 3 times.
I know if we submit one at the beginning, I think it's 2 times a year at least. If not, it's, and it may be updated more than that.
Which keeps us on track of making sure our teachers are certified or working towards being certified.
Like almost anytime we've got someone coming into the tech center, they're gonna come in on an official license.
Sure,
'cause they-
Yeah.
They're coming from practice or,
Got to
from
go to
the
class,
industry.
Do the training, all that sort of stuff.
And it's a lot of business teachers that we've gotten to do that, so that's.
So
Yeah.
this,
Tom, is that what she?
Okay.
so this plan needs to be submitted by the 30th. There's a certification that I have to also sign based on this plan by the 12th of July. That talks about each school going through their CSIP, their needs assessment, et cetera, because they're tier 2 or tier 3 based on SOL results for this past school year. So that we'll submit all that information as well in the next couple of weeks.
We did review to make sure that their plans are aligned with our goals.
Keep moving along. Any other
Yes, sir.
questions? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure,
Thank you for your
absolutely,
work.
absolutely. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Use of that tar. Thank you. Tell us a little lie.
Why do you think I'm talking so fast?
I was looking at it, it's pretty bad.
That's why I'm talking so fast, because I drank it and
Next time, just main one.
thank you all for supporting the plans.
It's exciting.
They've done a lot of work, Lisa, Sarah, all of, on that.
I feel like you've done a great job of putting some objective, measures in there that sometimes I've never been a fan of law firms I worked in when I was stupid, vision plans that had no objective data
Yeah.
that you can't.
Can't quite.
Yeah. Seems like we're moving in the right direction on that, so.
I just wanted to revisit the budget proposal for 24-25. I know we've talked about it. We talked about it numerous times. I don't know if you need to see it again. I have a draft here again of what we talked about, and what it includes, and I can go back through what it includes if you need to remember, or if you have any questions. Because really what we need to do, I'll ask you next Thursday to officially approve the budget for 24-25, but we need to start, if you're going to approve it the way it is currently,
Do we want a copy of it? Do you have sheet there, Jay?
Now we're good.
Oh, we got an extra.
There we go.
Sorry.
if you're comfortable approving it the way you're presented right there, what we have included, we need to start posting some positions, because I think we feel there's gonna be some trickle down to other positions that we need to make sure that we get filled and get covered. So, I mean, just, yeah, there's that.
Okay.
I probably made 6. So, you see its request, it's not requesting any additional funding from the locality. There is going to be, while I'm thinking about it as well, I'll include that. There is an increase in stride. You'll see there's an increase in stride funding there. we anticipate that will actually be more because we have the capability of accepting 800 more students from them, so we will be close to 2,000 students from Stride next year. You still see that there's ESSER funding in there, in one area, the ESSER 3. We will turn around July 1, I anticipate, and spend a significant amount of that on the renovations at Macy, because we have not received the first pay request yet. And we've asked to get that July 1. Because they have been, and I'll share pictures and you'll see what's going on over the last week or so here in a moment. There are, again, the positions that we're talking about. We do, as I shared with you, there is a reading specialist position in there for the secondary level, particularly the 8th grade level, to assist at that level. There's 4 positions new positions that we talked about where they could be 3 STEM, 1 art at the elementary middle level to be able to have that STEM person at each site. And then the additional art to kind of spread that apart to help with that as well. So I don't know what questions you still have or what conversation you want to have, but I know we talked about it.
The STEM and art positions, those will be posted as soon as we.
As soon as I know, I didn't want to post anything until I knew that you were.
Having the budget. Yeah.
All right, so just so you guys know, when Philip and I went first part of June, then Terry, David, he just got the information about expansion of Stride, the readjustment of what we're charging, so we might know a little bit more. We'll hopefully have some more money next year in that. But one of the things the county has been on the last couple of times we've been up there is making sure with this new money that we're getting from the state and otherwise that we're setting aside some sort of contingency for either Stride. The fear is if Stride leaves, then we'll lose about $800,000 of funding. Right now we're burning 400 of it. We've got additional 400 coming in, and then also if the state money dries up, so we've got something so we don't have to cut to the bone, weather that, and not immediately ask for local funding for it. So
the conversation that we've had here, as well as at that meeting, was that the increase in Stride for next year, we would start funneling it to
savings, like to
savings
hold.
instead of putting it into a position where it's recurring, it's going into a savings.
Now is this board, and all of you should know, we can do that. We can put it as our contingency reserve, and essentially we go in and carry over each year, but that's subject to the approval of the board of supervisors. Mm-hmm. We have to trust them that that's going to be, and I have no reason not to. They have, every year since I've been on this board, we've had significant carryover that they've allowed us to continue to carry over. So there's a level of trust there. I trust they've done a lot. They have not said no to anything we've asked for in the last 5 years, really, when it comes to. There'll come a day that a bunch of realities come in, but, I trust that with the current composition that if we set that aside, that we'll have it. But there's gotta be a level of trust there.
Yeah. Is there what is that amount then that we would have over that we'd be setting aside?
Right now, we're, 500 and some thousand, we're getting as an admin fee. We anticipate we'll probably go up to closer to 8 to 9, so we're probably talking 200 to 300,000.
Yeah, we budgeted, I think, 458, because that was the guarantee from the initial contract. And then this year's reimbursement was 542,000, 43,000. So, and it all depends on how quickly and how soon Stride maxes out our enrollment. So if it doesn't average that extra 2,000 kids, it'll be less and less as we go forward. Where we made that decision now, we're hoping they front load it so we get the credit and
get it done
for the entire year.
And keep in mind, I'm telling you, 1 art position for that, but there actually is going to be 2 because one transferred into a position, so there's there's 2 positions.
It is the high school level reading, specialist, that's something it's just been added this revision, right? Or was that in there before?
That was in there before.
Okay. I think we've got to just be cognizant of other counties. Again, the county's aware of that other counties with adjustments in their local deposit indexes we go through, and you have different things, and the state funding formula for schools is indecipherable, but a lot of counties of similar size have had that LCI adjusted with reductions. Ours actually went up, but we just gotta be ready for the day that, this money train may stop.
Yeah.
So anything we think going now, we need to make sure that we're very, we always should be,
Right.
making sure we're at personnel that we can keep them in the lead times.
Can I go back and ask a question about the STEM and art positions? So we're talking about 3 STEM coordinator or teaching positions. Would those be 1 per each elementary school, or is that the plan that
That's
those
the
would be
goal.
1 for each elementary school?
With 3 is the goal to have 1 at each school, each site.
Okay. So we don't do that necessarily at the high school levels.
Narrows has 1 because they were able to, with classes and that sort of stuff, move as a person.
Okay, so they have like an extra teacher that they could put in that role.
They kind of got, used to have shop.
When Mr.
Yeah.
Kid's position was.
Okay.
So if we kind of switch that from kind of classic shop class to now it's a STEM
Oh,
class.
okay, like robotics, that's.
Giles High School
It's
has
kind of like
requested
there
that as
wasn't
well,
the need change.
Yeah,
and that would be, it could be absorbed because there's just some teaching positions that they don't necessarily need for next year.
okay,
But if we do that and they need it the year after, we'll have to revert back and think about how we get that other position back in there.
okay. Yeah, because I do think it would be great to be able to have like a STEM coordinator at each building to drive those initiatives. Okay. Who is it at Narrows, you said?
Bradley side.
Oh, right, okay.
I guess the other thing too, in this situation, so we're adding that, we're gonna lose them probably, I kind of have feelings we'll lose them as great science teachers, but
Math teacher.
Well, math teacher, because, yeah, so that's what I said, what we can do, if
That's
it's
what we
gonna
need to
trickle down,
decide.
it's gonna trickle down and we're gonna have other,
Wait, can you say what you just said again? I'm sorry.
we're inputting these folks so that whoever, we probably have people that will go right into that position.
Oh, meaning
There are current-
in-house movements, so then
Yeah,
that'll
so you're
open
gonna-
up a teaching role, okay.
You're gonna lose them in the core subjects,
Sure,
which stinks, but, that's kind of the problem.
yeah,
Kind of like when I was saying.
catch 22, yeah, we're all
Okay.
Sarah. Okay,
But hopefully they'll touch more kids.
yeah, for sure.
and with the investment we've made with the labs and that sort of stuff, it'll get utilized, get more kids in.
That's really
into
good.
those as well.
Does all the numbers come in to know whether we have carryover or not?
No, we won't know that for another day or so.
We're gonna have carryover, but it's not in the sense of general carryover. Like, we'll carry forward all-in spending, we'll carry forward state construction. The state just released Thursday that we're gonna have to carry forward $172,000 for the state security grant. It'll hit, I think, June 28th. So we'll have those types of carryover, but as far as general operation, it will be very minimal, if at all.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that, David, I forgot that, we did get notified Tuesday.
I think so, Tuesday.
Sometime earlier this week that there is an additional we're gonna get $172,000, but it's school safety and security, all divisions. That's part of the budget that's coming, so that will be, we're not getting that till June 28th, 29th. That's gonna have to be carried forward. That has to be used for school safety and security. There are specific guidelines on how that can be spent as well.
Does I've asked this because we budgeted 150 to carry over to cover our operational costs. Is that, are we digging into that or are we?
I don't intend to, no.
Okay,
That
so
would be
we actually, in essence, we ran 150 under budget, but we budgeted deficit spending, so to speak. I ain't saying that. But no, that's good. That's very good.
Other questions?
How'd you ride, and you told us in the last meeting or one meeting, 6% raise for teachers?
Teachers, I gotta go through and tell you, Jay, what it was.
Five.
Teacher assistants was average of 5%, bus drivers was average of 5%, secretaries and bookkeepers was average of 6%, teachers was average of 5%.
I'm just curious how you said average, how do you arrive at doing that? I mean, 5% raise for everybody.
Then it wouldn't be a five, I mean, we adjust the salary scale. The salary scale is adjusted, the starting pay, is adjusted and thus everything else below that is adjusted on the salary scale and then where people fall.
I thought you just gave it to the place, okay. Has people, right about that? Last, my good time bringing this up in your budget, you didn't budget anything from tech center resource officer.
No, sir.
Well, the sheriff called me this week, said he can talk to me if you ask for Kelly. He said he can put us a person out there for $52,000 a year. And they also, if you ask me, they're teaching class, they teach class too. A security officer, and they teach a class.
Like in their criminal justice program or something?
Criminal justice or,
If they teach the class, which I think that will be, it kind of goes into that EMT, first responder, all that thing, criminal justice. I mean, Kevin will have to go through the procedure of doing the survey. There's several hoops to jump through, but we probably could get one if we start it now by next year.
Yeah, I would say you'd have to go through the process to see interest and be able to start that. That could be a potential for next year, but it don't.
And I think the county would be more supportive of it if it had that dual role.
I think they would, I talked to, they would. But it also could be teach class or some other duties.
I guess in line with that, I mean, what's our prospect for early childhood? We're gonna get a replacement in for
We're
that.
gonna try, we have it posted, so we're gonna see what
What
interest
for
we
the
have.
teacher?
Yeah, she went to Montgomery County.
And the other thing I was gonna ask about was, I think I brought it up one time, but a while back about, how, did you put any extra money in school stocking that they get to do these locker replacements and stuff, I'm just curious.
That's it, I'm assuming you're referring to the, locker rooms. We've asked, ZMM to include that in the bid packages for the renovation,
Along with bleachers.
along with the bleachers in the gyms. So that's it.
Took care of that, okay, good. Okay, that's all I had.
Any other questions on the budget proposal? We'll officially ask you next Thursday, but we'll start looking early next week. We'll get some of these posts to see how that stuff trickles down. Athletic trainers, so received a notification earlier this week, that an athletic trainer has been secured for Neris High School. So now in the process of trying to find one for Giles High School. So all it's done is flip.
Yeah.
So
Can you clarify, is that because we utilize Carillion to contract that out, so that's where we've been able to secure one for Nares is through that?
They went through and hired a person, offered a person, and we reimbursed them.
I personally think we should, two things. One, I think for Giles, do the same thing we did there, is to post that as a position under us because it's more attractive to some people. It depends. We didn't have any success getting one, but I think you're cutting off potential candidates that may not want to go to work for Curry and rather work for us, VRS, everything else. So I would hope we would do that as a board, continue that as a strategy for placing Giles, and then to the extent that we can reach out to the county EMS or anybody else to do work agreements while we are saving that money because we don't pay for that position. So what we've done at Nares is have some work agreements with Tanya Patterson that done that, the school nurse to be the trainer after hours. Please, I hope we can get consensus to that that will continue for jobs.
The way it was, the work agreement for her was written, it was to, provide, nursing service, emergency services, not act as an athletic trainer because she wasn't certified as an athletic trainer. So the other nurses, at Johnson High School could have the same opportunity, or EMS, whatever, we do a work agreement.
Are we able to do something like, I'm just thinking of individuals who have, either, their degree in PT or other athletic or nursing type positions to have like sort of part-time work agreements where they're not required to be there all the time, but are, is that what we're talking about?
That's what we're talking about.
That's what we're talking about.
Because that's what Tanya
They would need to be there for the activities and practice.
But if we don't have one person that can do all of those, we can have multiple small, okay.
Well, because it's kind of like,
At least in the
John's got an
interim.
athletic trainer, we did.
Yeah.
So now, like I said, it's flip-flop, which it really surprised me we didn't attract anybody with maybe wanting to go, like, not Carilion, but with us, with VRS. and-
Yeah,
Because that's what most localities are doing now.
it's hiring them themselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um,
And then they're just teaching class.
Mhm.
and the other thing is, since we've dealt with it, is to make sure that from where I said that we get football games, especially home football games, that we get with creating a sub trainer.
Mhm.
Because that's generally the only time we had trainers was when we had home
Oh,
football.
okay.
And they can send them out. They know ahead of time when they need them, they can try to get somebody.
If we had if Dr. Carson had somebody that he would have come over here, could we go that route?
Just with like a work agreement, like what we're talking about?
Him or Mosrick, I think Mosrick was gonna do that at one time or something.
I know it narrows, like they would come,
There is a doctor that's there for the games, and I forget.
they kind of come.
Dr. Marr, the
Yeah.
ortho.
They're on game night.
Yeah, they come and like supervise the trainers, like they're kind of there alongside with them. You'll see a doctor on
They're there
with
game
them.
night.
Dr. Woodson, before he left, used to go to most of the Narrows games, the whole home games. So, and they're good too when we have there are a few other school systems that have Korean trainers, and there's usually a Korean doctor there too. So. They've been a good partner, and it's just hard for them
Which
to
is kind of
find.
nice, that if you have an injury, you know, they know that, and then you can send your players to them.
Right.
And I wanted you to know where we were, and, because I haven't completed the agreement, but we'll work on completing the agreement with them and submit it by next week.
That's excellent.
So I just want to make sure I'm super clear to your point, because I love the idea of having it Shore posted through Carilion, but then us also posting it to see which one lands first. So we're doing that? Is that what we just agreed on?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, sound like, but I need to verify with Carilion that they're comfortable, because the last time we did that, when we posted, they dropped theirs.
Oh,
So
they didn't like the
we
competition. Okay.
gotta, I just need to make sure
Well, if they don't, then, I mean, I think,
We just went so long without
one.
yeah.
that we felt like we had to do something.
I think we give them the time if they're not comfortable with it, but if it gets to be early winter, late winter, early spring, we gotta consider.
That's when we went outside and got like with Tanya.
Yeah.
But
You know, 'cause
we had
were
that thing
like, we didn't
posted.
have any.
We had it posted for, 18 months?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, they've been without a trainer for 2 years.
It was posted for a while. So, yeah, I'll have that conversation with them to make sure. Construction update, just wanted to give you, let you see what, Macy, as I said, last Monday we started, they started doing electrical, they started digging up outside where the main feed comes in. Got the lines uncovered, put some electrical box service disconnects outside, right out, it's outside the back door, that door there in the little next to.
I love the photos, the photo evidence.
roofing material, you see right there, that was seven semis on Monday, and I think seven, on, Tuesday. They came in. And they moved quite a bit of that material up on the roof, and we're dropping it up on the roof, so they, on Monday, last Monday. So that's last Monday. I won't do every day, I kind of picked a couple days. Last Wednesday, and you can see that they're tearing off the old membrane, getting down to the insulation, got it to have it down to the roof deck in area B, putting the vapor barrier down, then going back and putting in some taper insulation back on it, covering it back up, gluing it, and getting that second layer of insulation back up and putting the finishing layer on it. Did some electrical on site as well.
That's going fast.
That's last Wednesday. Last Friday, again, still working on the roof, tearing insulation off. If you, I'll show you here in a picture what the pile insulation looked like that they tore off. Did find a section of roofing that they need to repair, gonna have to repair. So we're waiting on to get a cost per item, and that's about just under an 8 foot by 8 foot section. It's a little bit less, it's less than that, but that's about the size. And you can see it on the inside as well. If you go inside and look up, you can through the tile ceiling, you can see it. Again, they're putting the vapor barrier back on it. Continue to move forward, reinstalling the roof drains. Here's another electrical box in a storage closet they're working on as well. So each day I get these. These are also going to the architect, so the architect knows. We do have a progress meeting next Thursday at 10 o'clock as well, so we'll hear some stuff there.
Is our contractor providing these progress updates, or is that us?
This is the clerk of the works.
Okay.
Pretty slick. Again, roof, area A, roof section basically done. Started demoing section 2. Section 1 was done, section 2 they're working on. Again, you can see some of the roof there. It looks, you can see where some was work done before. Again, a lot of work, electrical up in the roof, up in the ceiling. That right there is what's a frame for the windows that are going back where the glass block was. So that's a frame, what that's gonna look like. As you can see, that's off of one section of, just off a piece of the upper part. They tore it off and they put it down there.
Wow.
Demoed the glass block out of, that's the upstairs, going up the hallway up to the 6th or 7th grade hallway upstairs. That glass block is out, so they're just have it covered up with some insulation right now to keep it blocked in. Been held up a little bit with the demo upstairs and in the building inside because we had some testing done on the building from different areas. I think they did probably 30 to 40 samples originally. One sample came back positive. In the hallway, inside the double doors to the right, that little hallway where the art room, DPI, special ed rooms are now. So we had additional testing done there. We had that original sample retested. The second testing of the original sample came back showing it, yes, it's there. So we are going to do additional sampling of the duct mastic around throughout the building to make sure we're not getting into something. We don't think it's anywhere else, but to do the due diligence, that's what we're doing.
Does that delay, obviously there's some impact, but
that is delaying them because they wanted to start upstairs and start demoing stuff upstairs inside. And they have not been able to do any of that until this goes on.
How long does that process take to test?
They usually turn it around within 48 hours or so. They have been, because we've asked them to put a rush on it. So really, right now, they're 2 weeks, they haven't been able to demo anything inside. So now they've been adding electrical pipes and conduit and boxes and that sort of stuff, but they've not been able to go in and start tearing stuff out that they wanted to tear out. So we're gonna have to keep that in mind as we progress. So that's basic. Giles High School football lights. I would say I went out there, visited there Tuesday. They had 2 of the poles had lights on it. Third pole, left side home bleachers. They were working on finishing. I don't know whether they finished the home side or not. I've not been back out there since Tuesday afternoon. But they're moving along there as well.
Good.
And I'll let you know when they're done, and because I would assume the same thing we did when we put the lights in originally at the 2 schools, the new lights. They'll fire them up in some nighttime to make sure they're burning. And there's no issues with them, so I'll let you know when they're ready to light them up.
They'll get it right.
Before we go on, I had a gentleman come to me a while back, and I seen yesterday where the governor of Louisiana passed a law where they put 10 commandments in every school. I don't know, we had that issue here. But he come to me and wanted to know if we could, don't make a decision now, just think about it. And I know it's legal craps, but he said, is there any way we can put on our schools, in God we trust? He said, it's on our money. And I said, I don't know. I said, I'll bring it up to see what they think about it, but just think about it, and I don't know what legal ramifications that would be, but.
Talk to Jim. He represents enough counties. And I also tell him to check the pacer for the order in that other, that Freedom from Religion Foundation lawsuit. I think it expired. I don't think we're under court supervision anymore.
We are.
I told him I'd bring it up, and he wanted me to bring it up, so. It's all in our Capitol buildings in Washington DC. I don't see how they can do it there, and we can't do it here in our small county.
Well, and for us to, I'm just gonna say, for us to successfully do stuff, sometimes we need to make sure that we come with a secular purpose, meaning a non-religious purpose for it, which protects us from a lawsuit going forward. So just when we're discussing things, and make sure that we follow that secular purpose.
Well, like I said, you know more about that than we do. I told him I'd bring it up, so.
But and again, I'm not giving the board legal advice, just to make sure
That's super good lawyer speak.
I'm not
Just-
practice here,
just
so there's a class that.
I'll reach out. See what.
You know, in the commercials, they have that really fast speak, that's the disclaimer, you just need to have that like on a playlist.
I had went down to construction. I got my measure coach there the other day, and I noticed the contractors not using our roll-offs, canvas roll-offs, PSA. I think the future would encourage them to use PSA for waste stuff. You blow that money home.
Amen.
I don't think we can make them, but their tags, we support.
Be a partner for us.
By that amount of debris, I'd say they need as much as they can.
I'll mention that. See him moving forward.
Well, I personally really appreciate the construction update laid out like that, being able to see exactly what they're doing, because I'm not out there at Macy every day, so.
Well, I have one from each day. I didn't show you each day. I can show you one from each day, but I
No, that-
showed you
that's-
a spattering.
that's
what's
effective.
occurring.
Oh, you'll be efficient.
Mhm.
What's the warranty on that roof?
10, 15.
I think it's 20, but
I remember saying it used to be 20.
it's 20, 25, but I couldn't remember.
I think there's other folks trying to sell us to you.
And I think it's a difference in also sections of the building. I think one section of the building, the trusses are kind of already tapered. One section, they're not tapered, but the insulation was what was fitting. So they've got to cut the insulation to be able to taper to help get the water runoff as well. So, but no, I'll keep sharing those with you as I get them. Next conversation, as instructed by you all, one of our meetings, you asked me to reach out to T&L to discuss the Giles and Eastern access roads. I did that, and I shared a cost proposal with you. So I wanted to see how you would like for me to proceed.
I'm hoping that Mr. Shearer did those jobs, being here and work on. Or they don't payroll. I talked to him, he said he thought he could work, he had time to do it. The extra projects were done, they had to be over, and where engineer work has to be done, they didn't do it. I realized when we did that, we didn't know we was gonna get him. Now we got him, he's on board.
If he's able to do it, and willing to do it.
He did, I talked to him, he said he thought he could. Really, all these projects were done, we need engineering done on. While we got him on staff, save some money.
Anything to do. Everybody good with that?
I'll get together with him and, I'll let T&L know that we're not gonna proceed with their proposal, but I'll talk to Bob and see what we can get done there.
I know the both those roads, they'll have to do a plan on that speed dock. But what about the baseball field in there is high? Did they do a plan on it before when they talked about last time what we do?
We removed less than 10,000 cubic feet.
I think, and like I said, we need to have that, somebody's got there to meet with Chris Elvey.
Yeah, I've not done that yet.
Yeah, I saw him the other day, I was talking about it, I mean, I think it's, I explained to him that, my understanding is that as long as we stay under an acre, we can get the county permit, that Bob could probably do some sort of plan, or at least we could do that and get that done. And I think that's probably about what Mr. Helby was thinking about, some ideas where, rather than, he wants it dug down, but at the same time, I think, you could do more kind of like a warning track, but a kind of ramp up versus having to do a retaining wall that just ends like that right there.
We're talking about regrading like the outfield at Narren's, we're talking about, yeah,
Cause it
needs it so bad, yeah.
But that's what he's envisioning. To me, that makes some sense. It's safe, but at the same time, it's not, you're not spending $500,000 on putting a retaining wall in. Yeah, center field, I have to be careful with because of the school foundation.
Because the corner of the building, right?
Mr. Shearer can do them, why don't we use it?
I think
It's
that's,
time to do it. We won't take away from his time up there, but he seems like he's working all the way. He likes staying busy.
I think maybe for the track, some of that you keep ZMM on it from the standpoint of that's got a little more school specialization, just to make sure. Nothing against him, but.
Oh, I understand. Well, we don't want to overlay him either.
Yeah.
We're going to do, we sure don't want to run him off.
Okay, I'll have a conversation with Bob probably this afternoon, see what we can get done.
And I'm gonna have to bring up another sore subject. Did you ever, it was cost of what we spent out there, child on a handicap, that's so far, if we get together. What we spent on it, and you was twice asked the question, and then she gave me a good thrashing.
Oh, not a thrasher. Discussion, Mr. Williams, discussion.
Oh, no, you turned a little red there.
No, that's just the color of my clothes, bring out my flush.
I did ask, but I don't remember what the
And
dollar
she asked a
was.
question, and I agree with her, we need to, what cost.
It
Anyway, I'm
wasn't,
on.
And that's done now, right?
it
Are we
wasn't
done?
a significant amount, I don't think it's done, because I don't know if they've gone back and compacted it, I've not
The
asked
gravel.
Bobby, I've not asked Bobby to see.
So they haven't done
I haven't been up there.
So I know they were going to do that, but I don't think they've done that.
But I'm already getting complaints about the, we're gonna let handicap people park where they used to, and we're gonna side of the field. How we gonna handle that?
Don't know that was gonna change.
Well, they took signs down, they took signs down.
Like I said, it's been like that for 30, 40 years that I know of.
We need to come back up with it and use it and enforce it. The schools also complain me too, that a lot of people goes over there and get somebody else's parking permit, handicap permit. They're not handicapped, just come to the park. We're not enforcing any of that. You need to look at doing it. But anyway, we need to put them signs back up to, and use it over there, or go and fix 3 or 4 sites on that side of the field or over parking lot.
But the way that handicap thing works, Jake, is they line up, at, I know some people get out there at 2:30. Whoever gets there first, they get the parking spot. We can't do anything about that.
Well, you can, you go, you're reserved it for them.
Everybody up there, everybody goes up there is handicapped. 90% of them are.
Am I hearing that y'all want signs put back up?
And in the most legal way possible.
You need to put signs back up, or you go on, while we hadn't fixed 4 or 5 spots there.
Yeah, I mean, if he's gonna be, if they're gonna come up there and compact that other, I mean, they might as well compact.
But there's nothing to compact there at Giles.
It's all grass.
It's just dirt.
That is all grass, there's no gravel there.
It ain't level either, that'd be great.
I know, yeah, no, it's not level, so it is grass just right now.
I mean, just restore what somebody unintentionally took down.
Wait how long? Ain't no regulation, the lawyers will get the, why don't take any signs down? They gonna let us park up there this year?
So I'll make sure that, we put signs back up, put new signs back up, since we took the other old ones down.
I don't recall where the signs were.
They were on, I think there's posts that are
Side of
in,
bleachers.
there's posts in the ground, and they were on the
west side of your
facing the,
And I think it was on the fence, I think it was on the fence.
I think they were on the, I thought they were on the posts,
Cause they would
but they
block,
could have been on the fence.
are we talking about things that would be in front of their car facing the field, that would be like visual hindrance, or behind?
Front.
Front, in the fence,
That's what was there
against the
before.
fence. From the end of the bleachers all the way down to where the road comes up in there, turns the corner. They had, it was probably 8 of them there, it was probably 8 signs.
I forget how many there were, I didn't think there were 8, but I thought there may have been that many.
There's a good many of them, 6 or 8 bleachers, 6 bleachers. Thank you, I'll pass the word on.
We're gonna put it back up.
Now, I thought, I looked, the other day I read through it, I mean, messed it, but I didn't think we had any, we go in the gate next to the concession stand, I figured we had some handicapped places there. There's none there to get on the football side, so it's tennis court, so I can take it started too, is one.
All the handicap.
All the handicap parking.
Tennis court.
It's right, yeah, it's right on the back side of the tennis
It's
court.
right there on the back side of the
That
tennis court.
serves, that serves, that's okay, the other side too, all right. I understand.
I guess technically, if someone was in a wheelchair, to technically access the stands, they'd go through that way, wouldn't they?
To access the home side, you gotta come through the concession stand, go
Uh-huh.
across and come up the ramp, because that is the access.
That's the handicap access.
It's on that side, looking at the home side on the right side, where the ramp is.
Okay. Sounds good.
And I'll check with Bob to see where we are with the compacting of that up there at softball. Rich Creek Head Start, I emailed Ms. Morris, emailed Jessica, and haven't had the opportunity to talk with her. But as of, 2 weeks ago, my understanding that Head Start was still working on trying to recruit field slots, but then we received notification that in the event they close, we could possibly absorb those spots, it's 10 of those spots at Macy in the VPI program. So,
Well, but that's not what happened, though.
So I don't know where they were. I emailed Jessica, I asked her Tuesday when I saw her, and I forgot.
Can you explain?
All right, so we share, what Head Start has done is they get to claim 10 Head Start spots that we pay for. They're joint VPI. They're in our classroom, but they're Head Start spots. Jessica had a good proposal that she could fill the VPI slots without the Head Start kids, and because Head Start is not fully enrolled in their 3 classrooms that they've got. So, but if you took the 10 out, they would be fully enrolled. The 10 that we pay for cover. That was not acceptable to. I think the director was willing to consider it, but
The Head Start director?
the Head Start director, the person that's over the actual Head Start program. You've got the director that's kind of over the whole organization, and she's rather new, and she's been committed to do some things. But I think her staff, let's just say that the recollection of the conversation that occurred between Jessica and Head Start staff, there's 2 different versions of it. But their position is they're gonna close Rich Creek, and they're gonna keep the 10 that are on us. So in essence, we have lost 15 preschool slots that are through Head Start or our school system. I think I'm a firm believer that to make it easier for kids to go into our system, they need to be in VPI or they need to be in Head Start. And we're less likely to lose them to other alternatives that parents turn to nowadays. And that's an economic reality a revenue reality for our school system. But this also, the kids aren't getting ready in some of the other alternatives they're getting. So the bottom line is, this year it may not hurt because I think there's not a huge demand for it, but this is also the first year of COVID babies. Okay, so you've got, next year we're probably gonna get hammered. So we're going to, I think we had a press like heck for them to come back here if they can and show a need for it next year. But also I think we're gonna have to do something, we've gotta get VPI classroom space because we don't have anywhere to put it. And there's space in there in the old ag building. I think we need to look at the cost estimate of that and get on it because I think we're gonna need that potentially in 12, 13 months. See what that is. So I think we tell Terry to get full speed ahead on that.
Are you talking about the building next to the little library near the annex that we talked about before?
Yeah, and Head Start's leasing that.
There's two spaces in there that can be utilized.
And then you have
Right
right
now,
there on school grounds, pretty much, you could still use your cafeteria, use your room here.
And it's, the thing that concerns me, and I'll be saying the same thing for Mr. Williams' district or your district, but we look at the numbers and there's like 23 Head Start kids that are signed up from these 2 ends of the county, and there's 23 from the western end. And some of these folks, if we don't have them an opportunity in the community, they're gonna utilize it.
Yeah, they're not like in the Paris or.
Yeah, they're gonna send them to, Mrs. Whoever, and they're not gonna get that school ready that we're gonna need. So, I hope everybody's comfortable if we push, have Terry look at that, work with the county's supportive of it. It's just, it's frustrating because I think the top of the program is wanting to work with us and I'm not sure where the disconnect is.
What is that building currently used for, the old ag building? Is it vacant, is
They
it storage?
rent it.
They're leasing it, or renting it from us, they're using it for their maintenance, I believe, if I recall.
Okay.
And, you know, I think the director is very excited when the Rich Creek facility is not, it's not a good facility, it's something, not the greatest facility. It's a good facility in some ways it's not good.
Right.
But, I think she showed a lot of interest in the Naris facility and using that. So I think, you know, bottom line is we've got to figure out, I think, space, be prepared to house another 15 to 18 students in Head Start or BPI next year.
Okay, and just so I make sure I'm understanding what we're saying, this year, things are able to operate as they're coming into this school year. Head Start has agreed to keep things as they are. We're talking about next year.
No, they're closing Rich Creek.
They're closing it this year, right now, there's no way to get that facility ready.
But I don't think Jessica is confident that she can get a BPI class started. Even more so, we don't have space. We'd have to rent space at
Right.
The landlord in Rich Creek would require a 2-year lease, and I don't think that makes sense for us. So, you know.
So this is kind of all just changed from, I guess, last time I had asked.
I was gonna say, I thought we
were, yeah,
I was good,
yeah, me too.
but then now it's changed again. Okay.
And I think sign-ups and recruitment is something that I think starting next winter, we need to focus on, get some help from the county, somebody like Cora that's got social media skill, and work with Head Start, because I think for whatever reason, people that might qualify are choosing to do that, and that's a recruitment issue, so we need to support them as much as possible, and because ultimately.
The need is there.
The need's there, and these are gonna be our kids in a couple of years anyway.
Yes.
And we need them as ready for school as we can.
The need is definitely there.
So, that out sufficiently. Learn more about preschool education than I ever thought I would or need to.
I am a preschool.
That's
Huge fan of it.
beneficial, it's possible.
We have to do everything we can do to help that.
Other questions on that?
All these plans we're writing are not gonna be as successful.
That's right. Yeah, and all that work that you all were talking about.
That's right, it's not gonna be as successful.
Because it's just.
Yeah.
That's the big.
Wanted to provide you an update. School nutrition, what you'll see there is you'll see, the beginning balance, ending balance for the month of May. You'll see that there was, an increase there for the end of the month of May. Keep in mind, again, we pointed this out to you the last time, there's still funds left in that supply chain funding category there. And that amount will be carried over into next year to use in August and September to cover the invoices for milk. So again, you've got the beginning balance, you've got the ending balance for May. And I think Katrina has paid the yearly benefits for cafeteria staff and some portion of Dr. Brown's salary with the June expenditures. So once she gives me the June, I'll be able to give that to you as well. So it'll be another week or so.
Talk about cafeteria. I do think, we need to make sure we've got any staffing concerns addressed, relational or and otherwise. I also believe that we need to have a better plan and understanding of what break-even points are, individual schools and system-wide, so that we can track that better. And we have to stay on top of it to encourage that participation, because I'd love to go back to the old numbers where how we got $1 million sitting in the account, but if we can live with, the numbers like this on a monthly basis, but we've got to stay on top of it and make sure it happens. I mean, and I'd like for the board to get those reports. I understand that there's gonna be months where they're gonna look bad, especially early on, but we got to.
We'll keep giving this information, we'll keep giving. As part of that conversation, we've got to, I believe, we've got to submit the CEP addendum to our annual agreement, here within the next week. So I'm assuming, that we want to continue participating in CEP for another year to see how it goes.
I think so. I mean, I think we can do it. The numbers show I think we can do it if we encourage participation, but, we'll have to revisit it this time next year.
I'm thinking that January to March timeframe, we're gonna need to have conversations to make sure to revisit the topic. But I wanted to make sure, put it out there and make sure everybody, I just didn't want to assume that you wanted to continue, but I wanted to make sure we had it. So
How is the summer program down there?
that was in the show, that number with you as well. So far, this is through Tuesday. We've been averaging, let's see, on the 10th, last Monday the 10th, we had 88 breakfast and 184 for lunch. That's both student and adult. And I can tell you, I can break it down even more if you want it broken down by.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you're able to specify how many of those are summer school students versus.
I won't be able to tell you summer school, but I can tell you student to adult.
Okay.
There's 87 student breakfast and 168 student lunch on the 10th. 1 adult breakfast, 16 lunch. The 11th is 94. I'm gonna do the same, student breakfast, student lunch, adult breakfast, adult lunch. 94 breakfast, 171 lunch, 5 adult breakfast and 13 adult lunch on the 11th. On the 12th, it was 91, 161, 2, and 7. Keep in mind, we had a volleyball camp out there Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of last week. The 13th, which was last Thursday, we had 84 student breakfast, 157 student lunch, no adult breakfast, and 6 adult lunch. The 17th, this past Monday, we had 88 student breakfast, 117 student lunch, no adult breakfast, and 6 adult lunch. And on Tuesday, we had 81 student breakfast, 129 student lunch, 0 breakfast for adults, and 3 adult lunch. So we're averaging about 80, 83, 84, 85 for breakfast total, and probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 140, about 150, 155 or so for lunch. So that gives you an idea of what we're doing there. And that's, again, we've had everything's out there at the same time, so. And we've tried to encourage, if they had volleyball camp, went in and told them, hey, if they want lunch, send them down there to get lunch. It's free for the kids, send them down there.
I just saying, I hope next year we can get ahead, but delivering it out to them a whole lot better, more participation. Because all these folks just can't get there. We can't get to meet the bus. I hope next year we'll be ahead of it.
Yeah, do we have, I've only spoken with one person about one specific bus route, but are any of our bus routes being successful in bringing people in for the meals?
I don't think that they're bringing many, because from what I've gathered, it's not bringing many.
Yeah.
We just need to start planning that for next year.
It sounds like just people that's in the building.
I went out with a couple of my kids the other day to have lunch and let them see the big school and, do all that stuff. And, There wasn't a lot, it was really just the summer school kids that were in there.
People in the building.
And I had asked one of the nutrition workers, like if they had a lot of families coming in from outside for either breakfast or lunch, and they said like at most they had 3 one day.
It's just changed so much, is what it was several years ago when they did
I would say my
First
food
year
was
y'all
good.
did in ours, that place was booming.
It was packed.
Yes, and all that, you know, they had the people doing the activities and showed their art.
Yeah.
It really was like, it was great, really.
We'll get back on track next year.
Policy revisions, I think you were provided some, policy to review for the board meeting, prior to the board meeting, ask you to approve them. I don't know if you had any questions on there, and I know you tabled policy, FFA as well, which is, so I didn't know whether you wanted to have a conversation on those now or not.
I do think, I was looking through this, I think most of the policies that the stuff you had are, you know, self-explanatory, SBA deal. I would say the electronic meeting, we did talk about that Mr. Blank Frost put in there. I do think we say to Gregor of 2 or 25% of our meetings. That's if, like, Phil may have to go somewhere and we may want him to participate, and we are allowed by statute 2 or 25%. So, you know, we would probably be up to 6, and for non-health reasons. And that's come in handy from time to time when we've had issues to deal with that we need to get people to weigh in on. So I'm all for that. You know, that way, if they can do that freely and we won't run into issues.
Are you comfortable adding that language in there for that, that's BDD?
Yeah, whatever the statute says, we just
I think
printed that.
I think it is what, not to exceed 2 meetings per calendar year, 25% of meetings held per calendar year, rounded up to the next whole number, whichever is greater.
Yeah, let's do that. And then FFA, that's the one, name and school facilities. We changed that a couple of years back, for a particular reason. As a general rule, I don't like naming stuff after people that are still living, because people are still living can still screw up, in life. Joe, you know, you see Joe, you know, that kind of stuff. But I just brought that up for discussion because I wouldn't mind changing that back, but again, it was changed briefly for one issue.
It seemed like it worked really well the way it was before for a long time.
Does, I mean, I think the other thing it does is it also avoids, you know, in my mind, you're deciding whether somebody standing right there is worthy of having a building named after them or not.
I agree with you, I'm gonna change that.
Phil?
I know we changed it for, because of the track of gals, but.
Well, I've got a question, like, I feel like at least 10 years is such an arbitrary number. When
We had at least 5, is what it was.
Because the one I'm looking at says 10.
Ours,
FFA?
yeah, our previous one had at least 5, wasn't it, Terry?
Because I don't have a super strong feeling about living or deceased, and I understand your point, but I also understand like recognizing folks while they're here and alive to appreciate their recognition. But I think I have like a bigger concern about the arbitrary number of, like, if somebody passed away last year, maybe that's a great time to, while people who know their impact maybe are still around, so I would want us to like maybe think about that number as well. It feels like 10 or 5 is like kind of random.
And I don't know if 10's not from the from wherever they're pulling the policy, because I don't think 10 is what we put.
We had 5 before.
Okay.
But 10 I think is the SBA policy. I think, I'm not saying I agree with it or don't agree with it. I think the thought is that allows you, you've only got so many school buildings, you've got all kinds, they're anytime you name something after somebody, you're leaving out people that may have done the same things, just didn't. And may not have engendered the same. And I think, like you said, if somebody died last year, I think that may be fresh and it may be more popular, where somebody that had a lasting impact, you can look back 10 years later and say, if you compare those people, say they died, 2 people die today, one person you may want to name them after, but then you have 5 or 10 years to reflect that time tells you that's more worthy. Again, I'm not justifying that, but I think that's what the thought process is.
Yeah, the logic makes sense there. I don't know, this conversation makes me uncomfortable.
Personally, I want to be alive when y'all name something after.
I want to attend the party.
We'll see if I can find the previous FFA policy FFA, and let's see it before.
Send it to us before, and we don't have to decide. I don't think there's anything in there. I mean, we're not following the model policy anyway, if we keep what we've got, so there's never a push on it.
Because what I'm seeing here, the attachment we were given, that's the model policy, the one that has the 10 years in it. Okay.
That's what we pay our money to the SBA for.
Okay.
And we'll get DDD, add that language in there about not to exceed 2 meetings per calendar year, 25% of meetings per whichever's greater.
If anybody has a problem with any policies that, I know there's a big packet that was on our agenda, we'll just do like we did last time. If something does come up and you read through it again, we'll just pull it.
And keep in mind, that's May's. I've got another one laying on my table that I've gone through that I haven't given back to her yet, that she'll give to you again for June. And so there's more coming.
Summer reading program.
There's more
For
coming.
the beach. That's right.
Yeah, there's
Take
more
care of
coming.
that on vacation.
That's all I had. I think that's everything on the agenda.
Okay, well, I wanted to go, if everybody's got time, if not, we do have an extra meeting next week. Talk about Terry's, evaluation and contract. If you got a little bit, put down. Only person's eval on is yours.
I got it. It's in my stuff here.
Was there anything else we need to talk about before you go into closed session?
No.
And I'll shut down.
Right here. I just didn't turn it in for man last time.
Well, I guess
Sorry.
we will be meeting at least have 1 or 2 work sessions in July for.
I would make the assumption that we would. We close out next Thursday and we can look at dates. I would assume that we would, but I don't know what.
Let's look then, just everybody between now and Thursday, kind of work your calendars. We definitely will have one more assistant principal interview, and we may have others depending on
How that trickles down.
Yeah, so. And I think, normally we have one, we always end up having something to do in July, but we like to try to get that to where everybody can be there. Minimize
I don't
anybody's
follow
interruption. Understood completely.
You wanna do
Tuesday night.
Tuesday night?
Yes.
Tuesday night.
Yes, we did have a lot
Yeah.
of applicants. Very good applicants, actually.
Good.
Well, I'll, go ahead, I will entertain a motion to go into, closed session pursuant to the Virginia, Freedom of Information Act Code sections to discuss personnel.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Very back.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
We're in closed session. Hey Terry, we'll talk a little bit when we come